Welcome to a world where champagne flows like water and cocaine sparkles like diamonds under the electric lights of Berlin's most notorious nightclubs. Tonight, we're stepping into the silk stockings and beaded dress of someone who lived this intoxicating reality every single day during the most decadent decade in German history. You wake up in a cramped apartment above a bakery on Friedrichstrasse, and the smell of fresh bread mingles with the lingering scent of cigarettes and expensive perfume from last night's performance. Your name is Marlene, though that's not what your parents called you back in the provincial town you fled 3 years ago. Here in Berlin, you've become someone entirely different. Someone dangerous. Someone free. The year is 1925, and Berlin pulses with an energy that makes Paris look tame and New York seem quaint. This city doesn't just embrace excess, it demands it. Every street corner promises scandal, every cabaret offers transformation, and every line of white powder presents an escape from the mundane reality of post-war Germany. Your reflection in the cracked mirror reveals the evidence of last night's adventures. Kohl-rimmed eyes that have seen things most people only whisper about, rouge-stained lips that have tasted champagne, worth more than most people's monthly wages. Your bob-cut hair, still perfectly styled despite everything, frames a face that photographers fight to capture, and wealthy patrons pay handsomely to possess, even if only for an evening. The clock on your nightstand reads 2 in the afternoon, which means you've managed a solid 6 hours of sleep that's practically virtuous by the standards of Berlin's nightlife elite. Most of your fellow performers at the Eldorado Club consider 4 hours a luxury, and anything more than that a waste of precious darkness. You reach for the small silver compact on your dresser, the one with the hidden compartment that contains your morning motivation. The white powder inside isn't for your complexion. This particular beauty enhancement goes directly up your nose, delivering the electric clarity that transforms you from a sleepy, provincial girl into the magnetic creature who commands attention on Berlin's most exclusive stages. The first line hits your system like liquid lightning, and suddenly the world snaps into sharp focus. Colors become more vivid, sounds grow more distinct. The ache in your feet from dancing until dawn disappears completely, replaced by an overwhelming sense that today holds infinite possibilities. Your wardrobe consists of costumes more than clothes, silk chemises that cost more than your father earned in a month, beaded dresses that catch the light like captured stars, fur stoles that once graced the shoulders of Russian countesses before the revolution scattered Europe's aristocracy like leaves in an autumn wind. Each piece tells a story of decadence, of money-changing hands in darkened corners, of secrets traded for survival. You select a jade green dress that hugs your figure in all the right places, while leaving just enough to the imagination to drive men wild with speculation. The matching headband features a peacock feather that adds exactly the right touch of theatrical drama. In Berlin's jazz clubs, subtlety is considered a character flaw. The streets of Berlin greet you with their familiar chaos. Automobiles weave between horse-drawn carts, as if representing the collision between old Germany and this brave new world of industrial prosperity. Street vendors hawk everything from bratwurst to bootleg American jazz records. Beggars displaying war wounds compete for attention with newspaper boys shouting headlines about political upheaval that seems perpetually on the horizon. But none of this political uncertainty touches your world directly. The nightclub circuit exists in its own bubble of perpetual celebration, insulated from mundane concerns like elections and economic policies by layers of champagne bubbles and narcotic haze. Your currency isn't marks or pfennigs, but applause and admiration, cocaine and cocktails, scandal and sensation. Your first stop is always Café Einstein, where Berlin's creative elite gather to discuss art, politics, and each other with equal passion. The tables overflow with painters whose canvases shock conservative critics, writers whose novels push boundaries that previous generations wouldn't have dared approach, and composers who blend American jazz with European sophistication to create something entirely new. Today, you spot Klaus, a photographer whose portraits of cabaret performers have made him the unofficial chronicler of Berlin's underground scene. His camera captures not just your physical beauty, but the dangerous energy that radiates from everyone who has chosen this life of calculated excess. When Klaus photographs you, he doesn't just document your appearance. He preserves your essence, that indefinable quality that separates true performers from mere exhibitionists. The conversation around your table flows from German to French to English and back again, reflecting the international nature of Berlin's artistic community. Russian émigrés fleeing the Bolsheviks mingle with American expatriates escaping prohibition. British aristocrats seeking thrills their homeland cannot provide share tables with Italian futurists, preaching the beauty of speed and machinery. Everyone brings their own brand of rebellion to this intoxicating mixture. Your afternoon cocaine begins to wear off, replaced by that familiar hollow feeling that demands immediate attention. This is when you make your way to the back room where Heinrich keeps his private stock. Heinrich understands the unique needs of Berlin's performing community. His prices are reasonable, his product is pure, and his discretion is absolute. These qualities make him indispensable to people whose careers depend on maintaining certain appearances while indulging certain appetites. The second dose of the day hits differently than the morning's wake-up call. This one carries you on waves of euphoric confidence that make every conversation sparkle with wit, every glance loaded with meaning. You become the version of yourself that audiences pay to see, the magnetic creature who can command attention simply by walking into a room. Evening approaches with the inevitability of addiction itself, and you begin the ritual of transformation that will carry you through another night of performance. Your makeup becomes armor against vulnerability. Your costume becomes a second skin that allows you to inhabit someone braver, more daring, more alive than the provincial girl who still occasionally surfaces in quiet moments. The El Dorado Club sits on Mottstrasse like a jewel in Berlin's crown of decadence. Its neon sign promises pleasures that other cities criminalize, experiences that other cultures condemn. Inside, the air thrums with anticipation and illegal substances. Jazz music provides the soundtrack for conversations conducted in whispers and glances, negotiations sealed with handshakes and kisses. Your dressing room backstage is cramped but private, decorated with flowers from admirers whose names you've forgotten, and photographs from performances you barely remember. The mirror surrounded by electric bulbs transforms your reflection into something cinematic, larger than life. This is where Marlene truly comes alive, where the transformation from ordinary woman to extraordinary performer reaches completion. Tonight's audience includes the usual mixture of Berlin's elite and international visitors seeking authentic German decadence. Wealthy industrialists sit beside foreign diplomats. Titled aristocrats share tables with American millionaires. Everyone united by their desire to witness something forbidden, something that exists only in this strange intersection of art and vice that defines Berlin's nightclub culture. The cocaine flows as freely as the champagne tonight, passed discreetly in small silver spoons or delicate glass vials. Your third dose of the day arrives courtesy of Baron von Richter, an Austrian nobleman whose family fortune funds his endless pursuit of new sensations. He offers the white powder with the casual generosity of someone distributing party favors, which in this environment, it essentially is. This evening's performance will push boundaries even by El Dorado's liberal standards. Your routine combines elements of traditional cabaret with interpretive dance that borders on the scandalous. Every movement is calculated to suggest without revealing, to promise without delivering, to drive your audience to the edge of acceptable behavior and then pull them back just enough to maintain the illusion of respectability. The music begins, and you step into the spotlight that transforms everything. Under these lights, enhanced by the chemical courage flowing through your veins, you become something beyond human, something mythical, something that embodies every forbidden desire an unspoken fantasy that brings people to places like this. Your body moves with liquid grace, each gesture amplified by the cocaine's enhancement of your natural rhythms. The audience responds with an intensity that feeds back into your performance, creating a feedback loop of desire and exhibition that characterizes the best nights at Berlin's most notorious venues. Between sets, you circulate among the tables, accepting drinks and compliments with equal measures of gratitude and calculated distance. These interactions are performances in themselves, carefully choreographed encounters that maintain the mystery while satisfying the audience's desire for connection with something extraordinary. The night stretches ahead with its familiar rhythm of performance and recuperation, chemical enhancement and gradual decline, moments of transcendent artistry punctuated by the mundane realities of commercial entertainment. This is your world, as intoxicating and destructive as the substances that fuel it, as beautiful and hollow as the spotlight that defines it. The cocaine from Baron von Richter hits your system with crystalline precision, and suddenly the crowded club transforms into your personal theatre of possibility. Every conversation becomes a performance opportunity, every glance a potential transaction in the complex economy of desire and influence that governs Berlin's underground society. You navigate between tables with practiced ease, your jade dress catching the amber light from crystal chandeliers that once graced Prussian ballrooms, before finding their way into this temple of modern hedonism. The Baron himself watches your movements with the calculating gaze of a collector evaluating a potential acquisition. His type frequents these establishments not for the artistry, but for the proximity to danger that money alone cannot purchase in respectable society. At table 7 sits Countess Elisaveta, a Russian exile whose jewelry collection tells the tragic story of her family's flight from the Bolsheviks. Her emerald necklace once belonged to a Grand Duchess. Now it serves as collateral for her nightly pharmaceutical requirements. She beckons you over with a gesture that manages to be both imperious and desperate. The trademark combination of displaced European nobility. The Countess speaks in rapid French about a new business opportunity involving a shipment of premium cocaine arriving from Bolivia next week. Her connections in the diplomatic corps provide unique access to contraband that bypasses normal customs procedures. She needs someone with your theatrical skills to help distribute the product through Berlin's entertainment network. Someone who can move through high society without attracting unwanted attention from authorities. This conversation represents the dual nature of your existence in Berlin's nightclub world. You are simultaneously an artist and a criminal, a performer and a drug dealer, a symbol of liberation and a victim of addiction. These contradictions don't trouble you anymore. They've become the defining characteristics of your identity in this city, where moral boundaries dissolve like powder in champagne. Your fourth line of the evening comes from the Countess herself, administered from a delicate ivory spoon that she produces from her beaded purse with ceremonial reverence. The rush this time carries undertones of paranoia alongside the familiar euphoria. You notice how the club's shadows seem to conceal watching eyes, how conversations pause when you pass, how the music itself pulses with hidden meanings and coded messages. The paranoia isn't entirely chemical. Berlin's nightclub scene operates under constant surveillance from various interested parties. Police informants mingle with genuine pleasure seekers. Political radicals use these venues to plan activities that could reshape Germany's future. Foreign intelligence agents gather information about industrial secrets and military capabilities through pillow talk with intoxicated businessmen and government officials. Your position as a performer provides perfect cover for intelligence gathering, whether you realize it or not. Wealthy patrons confide secrets to beautiful women they'll never see again outside these darkened rooms. Industrial magnates boast about new weapons contracts while cocaine loosens their tongues and clouds their judgment. Diplomatic officials reveal negotiating positions during intimate conversations that feel private, but occur within earshot of interested listeners. Tonight, a new patron catches your attention during your second set. He sits alone at a corner table, nursing a single glass of schnapps, while everyone around him indulges in Berlin's pharmaceutical cornucopia. His clothing suggests wealth, but not ostentation, quality without flash. Most tellingly, he watches the room rather than the stage, his attention focused on the audience instead of the performance. During your break, you approach his table with the practiced seduction techniques that have become second nature in this environment. He introduces himself as Dr. Mueller, claiming to be a medical researcher studying the effects of various substances on human behavior. His questions about your experiences with cocaine seem scientific rather than recreational, clinical rather than casual. Dr. Mueller offers you a different kind of white powder, something he describes as a refined version of your usual stimulant with enhanced properties and reduced side effects. The sample he provides comes in a small glass vial marked with symbols that suggest pharmaceutical rather than street origins. His offer includes substantial financial compensation for detailed reports about how this new substance affects your performances and daily activities. The transaction represents another layer of Berlin's complex underground economy. Legitimate pharmaceutical companies use the city's permissive atmosphere to conduct human experiments that would be impossible in more conservative locations. Medical researchers collaborate with criminal distributors to test new formulations on willing subjects who receive payment instead of medical supervision. Your agreement to participate in Dr. Muller's study transforms you from simple drug user into research subject, from performer into laboratory specimen. The distinction matters less than it should in a city where everyone sells something and everything has a price. Your body, your experiences, your very consciousness become commodities in markets that extend far beyond Berlin's entertainment district. The new substance produces effects that differ subtly but significantly from regular cocaine. Colors appear more saturated, sounds carry additional harmonics, and your awareness of spatial relationships becomes almost supernatural in its precision. Your performance that night transcends previous achievements, reaching levels of artistic expression that leave audiences genuinely moved rather than merely entertained. But enhancement comes with costs that become apparent only as the substance metabolizes through your system. The come-down involves not just the familiar emptiness of cocaine withdrawal, but strange sensory distortions that persist for hours after your last dose. Shadows move independently of their sources. Conversations continue in empty rooms. Your reflection occasionally fails to appear in mirrors, as if the chemicals have somehow disconnected you from physical reality. These side effects might concern someone leading a conventional life, but your existence in Berlin's nightclub world has already separated you so completely from normal human experience that additional strangeness barely registers as problematic. If anything, the enhanced strangeness adds to your mystique, contributing to the dangerous allure that draws audiences and patrons to your performances. The experimental pharmaceutical arrangement with Dr. Mueller provides financial stability that allows you to be more selective about other sources of income. You can afford to reject propositions from patrons whose personal hygiene or political affiliations make them unsuitable companions. You can choose roles in theatrical productions based on artistic merit, rather than simple economic necessity. This newfound selectivity paradoxically makes you more desirable to the very patrons you're now rejecting. Berlin's wealthy elite have grown accustomed to purchasing whatever they desire through simple financial transactions. A beautiful performer who cannot be bought with money alone represents a challenge that stimulates their competitive instincts and inflates their perception of your value. Your apartment above the bakery undergoes gradual transformation as your income increases and your status within Berlin's entertainment hierarchy rises. The cracked mirror gets replaced by an ornate vanity imported from Vienna. Your single bed expands into a luxurious sleeping area furnished with silk sheets and down pillows. Electric lighting replaces candles, and a gramophone provides private entertainment during your limited leisure hours. But material improvements cannot address the fundamental contradictions of your lifestyle. Success in Berlin's nightclub world requires maintaining an artificial persona that grows increasingly distant from any authentic sense of self. The chemicals that enable your performances also erode your ability to experience genuine emotions without pharmaceutical assistance. Your relationships with other performers become complicated by competition for audiences, patrons, and access to the highest quality substances. Friendships that once provided emotional support transform into strategic alliances based on mutual benefit rather than genuine affection. Trust becomes a luxury you cannot afford in an environment where everyone's livelihood depends on maintaining secrets while extracting them from others. The experimental drugs from Dr. Müller begin producing effects that extend beyond your performance hours into your daily life. Dreams become indistinguishable from waking experiences. Time loses its linear progression, with hours passing like minutes during some activities, while seconds stretch into eternities during others. Your sense of personal identity becomes fluid, shifting between the provincial girl you once were and the sophisticated performer you've become. These psychological changes might represent the natural evolution of someone living at the extreme edges of human experience, or they could indicate serious neurological damage from prolonged exposure to experimental chemicals. The distinction becomes irrelevant when your survival depends on maintaining peak performance regardless of personal cost. Dr. Müller's research progresses through increasingly sophisticated experiments that require you to maintain detailed journals documenting not just your physical responses to various substances, but your emotional states, creative insights, and social interactions. These reports become a form of literature in themselves, chronicling the inner life of someone existing at the intersection of art and chemistry, performance and reality, liberation and destruction. Your journals reveal patterns that would be concerning to someone capable of objective self-analysis. Your emotional responses become increasingly extreme, swinging between euphoric highs and crushing lows with little middle ground. Your creative output intensifies but becomes more abstract, less accessible to audiences seeking conventional entertainment. Your relationships with other people grow simultaneously more intimate and more superficial, characterized by intense connections that lack genuine depth. The winter of 1925 brings changes to Berlin that ripple through every level of society, including the insulated world of nightclub entertainment. Economic pressures from war reparations create inflation that makes last month's prices seem quaint. Political tensions between communists and fascists occasionally spill into the streets, disrupting the carefully maintained atmosphere of hedonistic escapism that defines your professional environment. Your morning routine adapts to these changing circumstances, but the fundamental rhythm remains constant. Wake up, chemical enhancement, performance preparation, audience interaction, more chemicals, another performance, recovery, sleep. The cycle repeats with mechanical precision, each day blending into the next until individual experiences lose their distinctiveness, and your life becomes a continuous performance, punctuated by brief intermissions of unconsciousness. The experimental substances continue evolving as Dr. Müller refines his formulations based on your detailed reports. Each new version promises improved effects with reduced side effects, but the improvements seem to come at costs that become apparent only after extended use. Your tolerance requires increasingly large doses to achieve the same results, while the recovery periods between doses become longer and more difficult to endure. But stopping isn't really an option in your current circumstances. Your reputation, your income, your entire social identity depends on maintaining peak performance levels that would be impossible without chemical assistance. Berlin's entertainment industry operates on principles that reward excess and punish moderation, creating an environment where addiction becomes not just acceptable, but professionally necessary. The contradiction between your public success and private deterioration embodies the broader tensions within Weimar Germany itself, a society caught between the promises of modernity and the weight of tradition, between the allure of liberation and the security of conventional morality. Your personal journey through Berlin's nightclub world reflects the nation's own struggle to define itself in the aftermath of catastrophic war and social upheaval. The spring of 1926 arrives with unexpected opportunities that will test every survival skill you've developed during your time in Berlin's underground. A telegram arrives at your apartment from someone calling himself Count Alessandro di Montefiore, an Italian nobleman who claims to represent a consortium of European investors interested in expanding Berlin's entertainment offerings to other major cities. The Count's proposal sounds almost too good to be true. He wants to establish a network of high-end nightclubs across Europe, each one modeled after Berlin's most successful venues like the El Dorado. Your reputation as both performer and business facilitator has apparently reached international circles, making you an ideal candidate to help establish operations in Paris, London, and Rome. The financial terms he offers would allow you to escape the daily grind of nightly performances while maintaining access to the lifestyle you've grown accustomed to. More importantly, the work would involve traveling between major European cultural centers, exposing you to new audiences and opportunities that could elevate your career beyond the limitations of Berlin's increasingly crowded entertainment market. Your meeting with Count de Montefiore takes place at the Adlon Hotel, Berlin's most prestigious establishment where international business deals are conducted over champagne and caviar. The Count himself embodies continental sophistication, speaking flawless German with traces of Italian accent that adds exotic appeal to his already considerable charm. During lunch, he demonstrates intimate knowledge of Berlin's nightclub operations that goes far beyond casual observation. He knows which venues generate the most revenue, which performers command the highest fees, and which substances are most popular among different demographic groups. His questions about your own experiences reveal understanding of the industry's hidden mechanisms that could only come from extensive insider information. The Count's offer includes immediate advance payment that would cover your expenses for the next 6 months, plus percentage ownership in the new ventures that could provide long-term financial security. The opportunity represents everything you thought you wanted when you first arrived in Berlin 3 years ago. Freedom from nightly performances, international recognition, legitimate business ownership rather than simple employment. But your experience with Dr. Muller's pharmaceutical experiments has taught you to examine attractive offers more carefully. The Count's knowledge seems too comprehensive, his financial resources too readily available, his interest in your specific skills too perfectly aligned with your particular talents. In Berlin's complex economy of favors and secrets, coincidences usually conceal calculated planning. Your suspicions prove justified when discreet inquiries through your network of contacts reveal disturbing information about the Count's background. His noble title appears to be legitimate, but his recent business activities involve more than entertainment venues. Several of his previous associates have disappeared under mysterious circumstances, while others have been arrested on charges ranging from drug trafficking to industrial espionage. The realization that you've attracted attention from international criminal organizations forces you to confront the broader implications of your lifestyle choices. Your involvement in Berlin's pharmaceutical underground has connected you to networks that extend far beyond Germany's borders, making you valuable to people whose interests go well beyond simple entertainment. Your apartment no longer feels secure when you realize that powerful people are tracking your movements and evaluating your potential usefulness for purposes you don't fully understand. The experimental drugs from Dr. Müller have enhanced your performance capabilities, but they've also made you visible to organizations that recruit assets with exactly your combination of skills and vulnerabilities. Sleep becomes increasingly difficult as the paranoia that began as cocaine side effects transforms into rational assessment of genuine threats. Your morning routine now includes careful observation of the street below your window, checking for unfamiliar faces or vehicles that might indicate surveillance. The white powder that once provided confidence now amplifies anxiety about dangers that may be entirely real. Your performances at the El Dorado continue, but the joy has been replaced by mechanical execution of familiar routines. The audience still responds enthusiastically, but their applause sounds hollow when you realize how many secrets you're hiding and how many lies you're living. The spotlight that once felt like liberation now seems like exposure to hostile observation. Dr. Mueller's experiments enter a new phase that requires you to test substances designed specifically for intelligence gathering rather than performance enhancement. These new compounds supposedly improve memory retention and social manipulation skills while maintaining the euphoric effects that make the experience pleasurable rather than purely clinical. The enhanced memory effects prove immediately noticeable during conversations with patrons and fellow performers. You find yourself remembering details from weeks-old interactions with perfect clarity, recalling specific phrases and emotional undertones that normally would have faded within hours. This improved recall ability makes you more effective at managing the complex web of relationships that sustain your position within Berlin's entertainment hierarchy. But the social manipulation effects are more subtle and potentially more dangerous. You notice increased ability to read people's emotional states and predict their responses to different conversational approaches. Patrons become more willing to share confidential information during seemingly casual conversations, while fellow performers reveal personal secrets they normally would guard carefully. These enhanced social skills make you more valuable to Dr. Mueller's research, but they also make you more attractive to other organizations seeking assets with your particular combination of capabilities. The Count's offer begins to seem less like business opportunity and more like recruitment attempt by people who understand exactly how useful your skills could be for their purposes. Your decision to decline the Count's proposal triggers responses that confirm your suspicions about his true motivations. The advance payment he offered gets withdrawn along with suggestions that declining such generous offers might have negative consequences for your continued success in Berlin's entertainment industry. The threats are subtle but unmistakable. Patrons who previously competed for your attention suddenly lose interest. Bookings at other venues become scarce despite your established reputation. Even your regular suppliers of pharmaceutical products begin expressing concerns about continuing their business relationships with someone who has attracted unwanted attention from powerful people. The isolation that results from defying international criminal interests forces you to rely more heavily on the experimental substances from Dr. Mueller, which may have been his intention all along. Your dependence on his pharmaceutical products makes you increasingly valuable as a research subject, while simultaneously making you more vulnerable to manipulation by people who control your access to the chemicals that maintain your sanity. Your journal entries during this period reveal psychological deterioration that parallels the external pressures threatening your survival in Berlin's underground. The enhanced memory effects from Dr. Mueller's compounds cause past traumas to surface with increasing frequency and intensity. Childhood memories of poverty and abuse become as vivid as recent experiences, creating emotional chaos that requires constant chemical management. The provincial girl you were before coming to Berlin haunts your dreams with accusations about what you've become. The sophisticated performer you've created struggles to maintain artificial confidence when confronted with evidence of the damage that 3 years of systematic self-destruction has inflicted on your mind and body. Your reflection in the ornate vanity mirror reveals changes that cosmetics can no longer conceal. The kohl around your eyes now hides dark circles that speak of chronic exhaustion and chemical abuse rather than fashionable rebellion. Your bob-cut hair has lost its lustrous shine, becoming brittle and lifeless despite expensive treatments designed to maintain your professional appearance. The jade green dress that once made you feel invincible now hangs loosely on a frame that has lost weight as your appetite diminished, along with your capacity for experiencing pleasure without pharmaceutical assistance. Your hands shake slightly when you apply makeup, requiring multiple attempts to achieve the precision that once came naturally. But stopping the experimental drug regimen isn't an option when your survival depends on maintaining peak performance despite deteriorating physical and mental health. Dr. Müller's compounds provide the only reliable method for achieving the artificial vitality that audiences expect from Berlin's elite performers. Your relationship with the other performers at the El Dorado becomes increasingly strained as they recognize the changes in your behavior and appearance that indicate serious problems with substance abuse. Their concern manifests as gossip and speculation, rather than genuine offers of assistance, reflecting the competitive atmosphere that prevents authentic friendship within Berlin's entertainment community. The management at various venues begins expressing concerns about your reliability and professional presentation, threatening to reduce your bookings unless you demonstrate improvement in areas they're too diplomatic to specify directly. The economic pressure adds another layer of stress to circumstances that are already pushing you towards psychological breakdown. Your morning routine now includes careful assessment of your mental state and physical condition to determine which combination of Dr. Müller's experimental compounds will be necessary to achieve minimum acceptable performance levels for that day. The dosages required to maintain functionality continue increasing as your tolerance develops and your baseline condition deteriorates. The experimental substances themselves seem to be evolving in response to your changing needs. Or perhaps, Dr. Müller is deliberately adjusting their formulations to maintain your dependence while advancing his research objectives. Each new variant promises to address the problems created by previous versions, but inevitably introduces new side effects that require additional chemical solutions. The cycle of enhancement and recovery, artificial energy and crushing exhaustion, pharmaceutical confidence and chemical paranoia has become the fundamental rhythm of your existence. Your identity as a person separate from these substances has virtually disappeared, replaced by a carefully maintained artificial personality that exists only under the influence of Dr. Müller's experimental compounds. Your apartment has transformed into a laboratory where you conduct daily experiments on yourself under the guidance of someone whose ultimate objectives remain mysterious despite months of collaboration. The journals you maintain for his research have become the most honest record of your inner life, documenting the systematic destruction of whatever authentic self you possessed before entering Berlin's pharmaceutical underworld. The spring sunshine streaming through your windows illuminates dust motes that dance like the white powder that governs every aspect of your daily routine. The smell of fresh bread from the bakery below provides a reminder of simple pleasures that no longer register as meaningful experiences in your chemically altered consciousness. Your story has become inseparable from Berlin's own trajectory during these volatile years when Germany struggles to define its future while managing the consequences of its recent past. The personal choices that seemed like liberation 3 years ago have created dependencies that mirror your nation's own relationship with forces beyond its complete control. The morning light reveals another day of navigating between performance and reality, between the artificial confidence that chemicals provide and the genuine desperation that drives you to seek that artificial confidence. Your reflection stares back from the mirror with eyes that have seen too much and forgotten too little, carrying the weight of secrets that grow heavier with each passing day in this city, where dreams and nightmares dance together under the electric lights of modernity's most dangerous promises. The weight of maintaining your carefully constructed persona grows heavier with each performance, yet the alternative terrifies you more than the gradual dissolution of your authentic self. Today marks exactly 3 years since you first stepped off the train at Anhalter Bahnhof with nothing but provincial dreams and desperate ambition. And the anniversary brings unexpected clarity about how completely you've transformed. Your morning dose of Dr. Müller's latest formulation produces effects that seem almost mystical in their intensity. The cramped apartment expands into cathedral-like spaces where every shadow holds meaning and every reflection tells stories about lives you might have lived. the experimental compound has evolved beyond simple stimulation into something that fundamentally alters your perception of reality itself. The sensation of existing simultaneously in multiple dimensions becomes your new normal as you prepare for another day of navigating Berlin's increasingly dangerous entertainment landscape. Your jade dress shimmers with colors that don't have names, while your reflection in the vanity mirror occasionally shows faces that belong to other women, other performers, other victims of the city's chemical promises. Walking through Friedrichstrasse, you notice details that would have escaped attention during your early months in Berlin. The way certain pedestrians avoid eye contact suggests knowledge of activities they prefer not to acknowledge. The manner in which conversations halt when you pass indicates reputation that extends far beyond your official role as cabaret performer. Your presence has become a catalyst for reactions that reveal the hidden networks governing this city's underground economy. The morning stop at Café Einstein now serves purposes beyond simple socializing with Berlin's artistic elite. Your enhanced observational abilities, courtesy of Dr. Mueller's compounds, transform casual conversations into intelligence-gathering operations that you conduct almost unconsciously. Patrons reveal information about business dealings, political affiliations, and personal vulnerabilities through seemingly innocent discussions about art and culture. Klaus the photographer greets you with enthusiasm that masks growing concern about your physical appearance and erratic behavior. His trained eye notices changes that you've learned to conceal from less observant companions. But his artistic sensibility also recognizes that your deterioration has paradoxically enhanced the haunting quality that makes your portraits so compelling to collectors throughout Europe. Today's conversation reveals that Klaus has received inquiries about your photographs from galleries in London and New York, suggesting that your reputation has spread beyond Berlin's insular entertainment community. The international attention represents professional opportunities that could provide escape routes from your current circumstances. But it also indicates that your involvement in the city's pharmaceutical underground has attracted notice from people whose interests extend far beyond artistic appreciation. The afternoon visit to Heinrich's backroom pharmacy requires careful navigation, as your tolerance to regular cocaine has increased beyond economically sustainable levels. Heinrich notices the change in your consumption patterns and suggests transitioning to more potent alternatives that cost significantly more but require smaller quantities to achieve desired effects. His business model adapts to customer needs with the flexibility that has made him indispensable to Berlin's performing community. The new substance Heinrich provides produces immediate euphoria, accompanied by visual distortions that transform the familiar cafe environment into something resembling an impressionist painting, where colors bleed into each other and geometric shapes lose their rigid definitions. Conversations around you become musical compositions where individual words matter less than the emotional rhythms they create. Your enhanced state attracts attention from other patrons who recognize the signs of someone experiencing pharmaceutical effects that go beyond standard recreational drugs. A woman at the corner table introduces herself as Madame Petrova, claiming to represent interests that could benefit from your particular combination of performance skills and chemical tolerance. Madame Petrova's proposal involves traveling to Moscow as part of a cultural exchange program that would showcase Western decadence to Soviet officials eager to understand the capitalist corruption they're supposedly fighting against. The irony of performing American jazz in communist Russia, while under the influence of experimental German pharmaceuticals, appeals to your increasingly surreal sense of humor about the contradictions governing your existence. The financial terms she offers eclipse anything you've earned through legitimate entertainment, but the risks involved become apparent when she explains that failure to satisfy Soviet expectations could result in permanent residence in facilities designed for political prisoners rather than foreign artists. Your chemical dependencies would become lethal liabilities in an environment where medical care prioritizes ideological compliance over individual survival. Your decision to decline Madame Petrova's offer triggers the same pattern of subtle threats and professional isolation that followed your rejection of Count de Montefiore's proposition. The network of international interests seeking to exploit your skills operates with coordination that suggests central planning rather than independent opportunism. Evening preparations for tonight's performance at the El Dorado require increasingly elaborate chemical cocktails to achieve the artificial vitality that audiences expect from Berlin's premier entertainers. Dr. Möhrler's experimental compounds now combine with Heinrich's street pharmaceuticals and Madame Petrova's Soviet stimulants to create effects that no single substance could produce independently. The resulting enhancement transforms your consciousness into something that transcends normal human experience, while maintaining enough connection to physical reality to enable professional performance. Your body moves through familiar dance routines, while your mind explores dimensions of sensation and awareness that exist beyond conventional description. Tonight's audience includes several faces that have appeared repeatedly during recent weeks, suggesting systematic observation rather than genuine entertainment interest. Their attention focuses on your behavior and interactions rather than your artistic presentation, confirming suspicions that your performances have become intelligence-gathering opportunities for multiple competing organizations. The realization that you've become an unwitting asset in conflicts between international powers creates paranoia that even Dr. Möhrler's compounds cannot completely suppress. Every patron represents potential threat. Every conversation conceals hidden agendas. Every applause contains coded messages about your value to people whose ultimate objectives remain mysterious despite months of indirect contact. Your dressing room backstage provides temporary sanctuary where you can examine the evidence accumulating around your increasingly precarious situation. The flowers from admirers now include cards with messages that seem innocuous, but contain phrases that could serve as recognition codes for intelligence operatives. The photographs decorating your mirror show subtle alterations that suggest someone has been accessing your private space during performance hours. The mirror itself reflects changes in your appearance that indicate physical deterioration, accelerating beyond your ability to conceal through cosmetic techniques. The experimental substances that enable your performances are simultaneously destroying the body that makes those performances possible, creating an unsustainable cycle that must eventually result in complete breakdown or dramatic intervention. Your second set begins with mechanical execution of choreography that once felt like creative expression, but now serves primarily as vehicle for chemical exhibition. The audience responds to your enhanced presence without understanding that they're witnessing systematic self-destruction disguised as artistic innovation. Between performances, you circulate among tables where conversations reveal the broader context surrounding your personal situation. Berlin's entertainment industry has become a battleground where competing international interests recruit assets through financial incentives and chemical dependencies that make resistance increasingly difficult as time progresses. The wealthy industrialists and foreign diplomats who frequent these venues aren't simply seeking entertainment, but conducting business that affects everything from weapons contracts to territorial negotiations. Your position as performer provides perfect cover for observing these transactions, while your chemical enhancements enable you to remember details that would normally fade within hours of exposure. Your third dose of experimental compounds arrives courtesy of a new patron who introduces himself as Professor Hartmann, claiming to represent academic interests in studying the psychological effects of performance under extreme chemical influence. His questions probe areas that previous researchers haven't explored, focusing on your subjective experiences rather than observable behaviors. Professor Hartmann's compounds produce effects that differ qualitatively from anything you've previously experienced, creating awareness of emotional and sensory dimensions that seem to exist independently of physical reality. Your performance that night transcends previous achievements, while simultaneously feeling like observation of someone else's artistic expression. The audience reaction suggests that whatever Professor Hartmann's substances have done to your consciousness translates into performance qualities that exceed normal human capabilities. The applause continues long after your routine ends, while patrons approach with offers that reflect recognition of something extraordinary rather than merely entertaining. But the enhanced performance comes with psychological costs that become apparent only as the substances metabolize through your system. The boundaries between your authentic self and the artificial persona created through chemical enhancement dissolve completely, leaving you uncertain about which thoughts and emotions represent genuine responses versus pharmaceutical side effects. Your late-night recovery period now requires careful management of multiple competing chemical systems that don't interact predictably within your increasingly damaged physiology. The experimental compounds from various researchers create effects that sometimes complement each other, but occasionally produce dangerous conflicts that require immediate medical intervention. The apartment above the bakery has become a pharmaceutical laboratory where you conduct daily experiments that push the boundaries of human tolerance for chemical manipulation. Your journals document experiences that may represent groundbreaking research into consciousness and performance, or simply detailed records of systematic self-destruction disguised as scientific inquiry. Your relationship with sleep has become complicated by substances that alter normal circadian rhythms, while creating dream states that continue into waking hours. The distinction between dreaming and consciousness loses meaning when both states involve experiences that transcend conventional reality through pharmaceutical enhancement. Morning arrivals bring not rest, but transition into different phases of chemical influence that enable you to maintain the exhausting schedule required for survival in Berlin's competitive entertainment market. Your tolerance levels continue increasing while your physical condition deteriorates, creating mathematical inevitability of eventual system failure unless dramatic changes occur soon. The spring of 1926 represents a crossroads where the choices you make during the next few weeks will determine whether you survive Berlin's pharmaceutical underground or become another casualty of the city's promise that chemical enhancement can provide everything that authentic human experience lacks. Your story has become inseparable from the broader tensions reshaping European society, as traditional values struggle against modernist experimentation, in venues where the stakes involve individual souls rather than abstract political principles. The morning light streaming through your windows illuminates evidence of a life lived at the extreme edges of human experience, where every day brings choices between artificial transcendence and genuine destruction. Your reflection in the vanity mirror shows someone who has achieved everything she thought she wanted, while losing everything she never knew she needed, trapped in a cycle of enhancement and decay that mirrors the broader contradictions of a society caught between past certainty and future possibility. The white powder on your dresser sparkles like captured starlight, promising another day of chemical courage and artificial confidence that will carry you through whatever challenges await in Berlin's never-ending carnival of desire and consequence. Your transformation from provincial girl to international asset represents both the ultimate success and complete failure of dreams that seemed so clear when you first arrived in this city where everything is possible and nothing is permanent. The afternoon brings an unexpected visitor to your apartment, announced only by the soft knock that signals Heinrich's personal delivery service. But instead of your usual supplier, you find a woman in expensive furs, whose Russian accent immediately identifies her as another refugee from the Bolshevik Revolution. She carries herself with the bearing of someone accustomed to command, though her eyes hold the desperate hunger that marks all of Berlin's displaced aristocracy. Princess Katerina Volkonsky introduces herself with titles that once carried weight in St. Petersburg ballrooms, but now serve primarily as credentials for securing credit with Berlin's more exclusive pharmaceutical suppliers. Her proposal involves a private party at her mansion in Charlottenburg, an evening of entertainment for a select group of international businessmen whose identities she cannot reveal, but whose financial resources make discretion unnecessary. The princess offers payment that would cover your expenses for 3 months, but her request goes beyond simple performance. She needs someone capable of maintaining sophisticated conversation while under the influence of substances that would render most people incoherent. Her guests expect intellectual stimulation alongside their pharmaceutical entertainment, creating requirements that few performers can satisfy. Your acceptance commits you to an evening that will push even your enhanced capabilities to their limits. The princess provides additional compounds specifically designed for social interaction under extreme chemical influence, substances that supposedly maintain conversational abilities while amplifying the euphoric effects that make such gatherings memorable for wealthy participants. The preparation required for tonight's private engagement involves careful timing of multiple pharmaceutical doses to achieve peak effects during the crucial hours when your performance will determine whether future opportunities materialize or disappear. Dr. Müller's experimental compounds provide the foundation, while Heinrich's premium stimulants add social lubrication, and the princess's specialized formulations create the intellectual enhancement that distinguishes elite entertainment from simple exhibition. Your costume selection requires consideration of an audience whose tastes run toward the exotic rather than merely provocative. The Russian princess suggests traditional Slavic elements combined with modern Berlin sophistication, creating a visual presentation that appeals to nostalgic émigré sensibilities while maintaining the dangerous allure that attracts international business interests. The taxi ride through Berlin's affluent western districts provides time to mentally prepare for an evening that will require sustained performance under pharmaceutical influence for several consecutive hours. Your enhanced awareness notices details about the city that would normally escape attention, from the architectural styles that reflect different periods of German prosperity to the subtle signs indicating which buildings house legitimate businesses versus establishments that cater to less conventional needs. Princess Volkonsky's mansion occupies an entire city block, its neo-Baroque facade concealing interior spaces that have been modified to accommodate the entertainment preferences of Berlin's international elite. The main ballroom features crystal chandeliers that cast rainbow patterns through the haze of expensive tobacco and other substances, while smaller chambers provide privacy for conversations that require absolute discretion. Your arrival coincides with the evening's first pharmaceutical service, administered by uniformed attendants who circulate among guests with silver trays containing precisely measured doses of various compounds. The ritualistic presentation transforms drug consumption into ceremonial activity that emphasizes exclusivity and sophistication rather than simple intoxication. Tonight's gathering includes representatives from arms manufacturers, diplomatic corps members, and industrial magnates whose business interests span multiple continents. Their conversations reveal the complex web of relationships that shape European politics through private agreements reached in venues like this mansion, where state secrets become negotiating chips in transactions that affect millions of lives. Your enhanced observational abilities, courtesy of the evening's pharmaceutical cocktail, allow you to follow multiple simultaneous conversations while maintaining your own interactions with guests who expect both entertainment and intellectual engagement. The experimental compounds create awareness of emotional undercurrents and hidden motivations that would normally require extensive training to detect and interpret. A British industrialist discusses weapons contracts with Ottoman Empire representatives, while a French diplomat negotiates mining rights in colonial territories with German chemical manufacturers. These conversations occur openly because the pharmaceutical atmosphere creates false sense of security, while the exclusive guest list ensures that sensitive information remains within trusted circles. Your performance tonight combines traditional dance elements with interpretive movement that responds to the emotional dynamics of ongoing business negotiations. The chemical enhancements allow you to translate the tension and excitement of financial dealings into physical expression that entertains guests while providing subtle commentary on their activities. The pharmaceutical effects reach peak intensity during the evening's climactic moments when major agreements get finalized through handshakes accompanied by shared consumption of celebration drugs that bind participants through mutual chemical vulnerability. Your role during these crucial negotiations involves providing atmospheric enhancement that makes historical moments feel appropriately significant to their participants. Between performance segments, you circulate among guests whose loosened tongues reveal information that intelligence services would pay enormous sums to obtain: industrial secrets, military capabilities, diplomatic strategies, and personal vulnerabilities all emerge through conversations that participants will barely remember, but that your enhanced memory systems record with photographic precision. The realization that you're inadvertently conducting espionage operations while performing creates moral complications that the evening's chemical cocktail cannot completely suppress. Your loyalty belongs to no particular nation or ideology, but the information you're gathering could influence everything from weapons development to territorial negotiations that determine the fate of entire populations. A German industrialist boasts about new aircraft designs that could revolutionize military aviation, while an American businessman describes financial arrangements that could destabilize European currencies through coordinated speculation. These revelations occur naturally through social interaction, rather than systematic interrogation, making the intelligence gathering appear accidental rather than deliberate. Your enhanced social manipulation abilities, developed through months of pharmaceutical experimentation, enable you to guide conversations toward topics that reveal maximum information while maintaining the appearance of casual interest rather than professional curiosity. The skills that began as performance techniques have evolved into sophisticated intelligence capabilities that multiple organizations would value highly. The evening's pharmaceutical progression moves through carefully orchestrated phases designed to maximize guest satisfaction while maintaining enough coherence for productive business discussions. Your role requires adapting to each phase while managing your own chemical responses to maintain peak performance throughout the extended engagement. Princess Volkonsky monitors your condition with professional attention that suggests extensive experience managing performers under extreme pharmaceutical influence. Her concern focuses on maintaining your functionality rather than your welfare, reflecting the pragmatic approach that characterizes relationships within Berlin's entertainment underground. The late evening hours bring conversations that reveal the broader context surrounding your personal situation within Berlin's complex web of competing interests. Your reputation has spread through international networks that recruit assets with your particular combination of skills, making you valuable to organizations whose objectives extend far beyond simple entertainment. A Hungarian count mentions similar performers operating in Vienna and Budapest, suggesting that your situation represents part of a larger pattern where talented individuals get recruited into networks that use entertainment venues as cover for intelligence operations. The pharmaceutical dependencies that enable peak performance also create vulnerabilities that make resistance to recruitment increasingly difficult. Your final performance of the evening occurs during the gathering's climactic phase, when guests have reached optimal pharmaceutical states for experiencing transcendent artistic expression. The chemical enhancements allow you to access levels of creativity and physical capability that exceed normal human limits, while maintaining enough awareness to observe audience reactions and adjust accordingly. The applause that follows your concluding routine carries emotional intensity that reflects genuine appreciation rather than mere politeness, indicating that your pharmaceutical enhanced performance has achieved effects that purely natural talent could never produce. The success validates the experimental approach, while simultaneously demonstrating the complete dependence on chemical enhancement that now defines your artistic identity. Recovery from tonight's extended pharmaceutical exposure requires careful management of multiple competing chemical systems as they metabolize through your increasingly damaged physiology. The Princess provides compounds designed to ease the transition back to baseline consciousness. But the process involves several hours of gradual decline, punctuated by moments of intense discomfort. Your taxi ride back to Friedrichstrasse occurs during Berlin's quietest hours, when the city briefly resembles something approaching normal urban environment. rather than the continuous carnival of excess that characterizes its nighttime personality. The contrast between the pharmaceutical-enhanced reality of tonight's gathering and the mundane emptiness of dawn streets emphasizes the artificial nature of the world you now inhabit. The apartment above the bakery welcomes you with familiar scents and sounds that provide anchor points for consciousness, gradually returning to manageable levels of chemical influence. Your journals await documentation of tonight's experiences, but the complexity of what occurred will require several sessions to capture accurately through written description. Your reflection in the vanity mirror shows someone who has achieved another successful performance while moving further from any authentic sense of personal identity. The chemical courage that enabled tonight's triumphs will fade within hours, leaving you to confront the growing emptiness that no substance seems capable of filling permanently. The morning light filtering through your windows illuminates evidence of another night spent pushing the boundaries of human tolerance for pharmaceutical manipulation in service of goals that remain unclear, despite months of systematic experimentation. Your transformation continues its relentless progression towards something that may represent ultimate artistic achievement or complete psychological dissolution. The white powder awaiting your morning attention sparkles with promise of another day's artificial confidence, but the quantities required to achieve desired effects continue increasing while your physical condition deteriorates at rates that make long-term survival increasingly questionable. Your story has become a race between chemical enhancement and bodily destruction, with the outcome determining whether you achieve the transcendence you've been seeking or simply become another casualty of Berlin's promise that anything is possible for those willing to pay the necessary price. The bread smell from below mingles with lingering pharmaceutical residues to create the distinctive atmosphere that now defines your daily existence, where every sensation carries multiple layers of meaning created through chemical modification of normal human perception. Your journey from provincial girl to international asset continues its inexorable progression through territories of experience that few humans have explored and fewer still have survived to describe. The experimental compounds from last night's gathering leave you suspended between consciousness and dream as Thursday morning arrives with its familiar routine of chemical mathematics. Your body demands immediate pharmaceutical intervention to bridge the gap between enhanced performance and baseline functionality, but your supply of Dr. Muller's compounds has dwindled to levels that require careful rationing. The mirror reflects damage that cosmetics alone cannot address. Dark circles beneath your eyes speak of cellular exhaustion that goes beyond simple sleep deprivation. Your skin has acquired a translucent quality that suggests your body is consuming itself to fuel the chemical processes that maintain your artificial vitality. Yet stopping remains impossible when your survival depends on maintaining peak performance despite accelerating physical deterioration. Your morning dose combines the last of Dr. Muller's experimental formulation with Heinrich's premium cocaine and a new compound provided by Princess Volkonsky, specifically designed for managing pharmaceutical transitions. The resulting cocktail produces effects that feel simultaneously familiar and alien, as if your consciousness has become a laboratory where different scientific approaches compete for dominance over your neural chemistry. The walk to Café Einstein reveals changes in Berlin's atmosphere that reflect broader tensions rippling through German society. Political demonstrations have become more frequent and more violent, with communist and fascist factions clashing in streets that were once safe for international visitors. The stable hedonism that attracted wealthy foreigners to Berlin's entertainment district now exists within an increasingly unstable political environment. Klaus greets you with photographs from last night's private gathering that somehow captured on film what your chemically enhanced memory recorded in vivid detail. The images reveal expressions and interactions that participants probably don't remember clearly, creating potential blackmail material that could influence everything from weapons contracts to diplomatic negotiations. His camera has become an intelligence gathering tool whether he realizes it or not, The conversation at your usual table includes hushed discussions about performers who have disappeared recently, either recruited by organizations whose identities remain mysterious or eliminated by competitors seeking to control Berlin's pharmaceutical entertainment networks. Your own visibility within these circles has made you a target for recruitment efforts that grow more aggressive as your skills become more valuable to international interests. Heinrich's afternoon pharmaceutical consultation reveals disturbing developments in Berlin's underground drug economy. Supply chains from South America have been disrupted by political changes that affect everything from coca cultivation to shipping routes. The resulting scarcity has driven prices beyond the reach of casual users, while creating opportunities for synthetic alternatives that produce unknown long-term effects. Your tolerance levels now require substances that cost more than most performers earn in a month, creating economic pressures that force difficult choices between maintaining peak performance and preserving enough resources for basic survival needs. The mathematics of addiction have reached unsustainable levels that demand either dramatic intervention or complete system collapse within the next few weeks. Dr. Müller's latest experimental compound arrives through Princess Volkonsky's private courier service, accompanied by instructions that suggest tonight's dose will be significantly different from previous formulations. The pharmaceutical evolution that began months ago as performance enhancement has progressed into territory where the distinction between medical research and human experimentation becomes meaningless. Your preparation for tonight's performance at the El Dorado requires careful timing of multiple chemical systems that don't interact predictably within your increasingly damaged physiology. The experimental nature of your current pharmaceutical regimen means that each dose represents a calculated risk that could either enhance your capabilities or trigger catastrophic system failure. The club's atmosphere tonight carries tension that reflects the political instability affecting all aspects of Berlin society. Regular patrons include increasing numbers of foreign intelligence operatives whose presence transforms social interactions into potential espionage opportunities. Your enhanced observational abilities detect surveillance techniques and coded communications that suggest your performances have become focal points for international intelligence gathering. Tonight's audience includes a new patron who introduces himself as Colonel Morrison, claiming to represent American business interests in European pharmaceutical research. His questions about your experiences with experimental compounds reveal knowledge that goes far beyond casual curiosity, suggesting connections to organizations that conduct research similar to Dr. Müller's work, but with different ultimate objectives. Colonel Morrison's offer involves relocation to New York, where your skills could be utilized by organizations with resources that dwarf anything available in Berlin's declining entertainment economy. The financial terms include not just immediate payment, but long-term arrangements that could provide security against the political upheaval that threatens to destroy Germany's experimental social atmosphere. Your performance that night occurs under the influence of Dr. Müller's latest formulation, which produces effects that transcend previous experiences while maintaining enough connection to physical reality to enable professional presentation. The enhancement allows you to perceive emotional undercurrents and hidden motivations among audience members with supernatural clarity that transforms entertainment into intelligence gathering. The pharmaceutical effects reach peak intensity during conversations with Colonel Morrison, whose own consumption of specialized compounds enables him to communicate through methods that bypass normal language barriers. The shared chemical experience creates intimacy that reveals information about American pharmaceutical research programs that parallel European experiments, but with military rather than entertainment applications. Between performances, you navigate through conversations that reveal the broader context of international competition for assets with your particular combination of skills and vulnerabilities. Multiple organizations are recruiting performers throughout Europe's major cities, creating networks that use entertainment venues as cover for activities that affect everything, from weapons development to political influence operations. Your enhanced memory systems record details about weapons shipments, currency manipulation schemes, and diplomatic negotiations that intelligence services would consider invaluable. The information emerges naturally through social interaction rather than systematic interrogation, making your intelligence gathering appear accidental rather than deliberate to participants whose pharmaceutical influence impairs their judgment about security protocols. The realization that you've become an unwitting intelligence asset for multiple competing organizations creates paranoia that even tonight's chemical cocktail cannot completely suppress. Every conversation conceals hidden agendas. Every patron represents potential manipulation. Every applause contains coded messages about your value to people whose ultimate objectives remain unclear despite months of indirect contact. Your second set combines traditional cabaret elements with interpretive movement that responds to the emotional dynamics of ongoing intelligence operations disguised as business negotiations. The chemical enhancements allow you to translate surveillance activities and recruitment efforts into artistic expression that entertains audiences while providing commentary on activities they don't fully understand. Late evening brings conversations with Colonel Morrison that reveal American plans for establishing similar operations throughout Europe, using talented performers as assets in intelligence networks that could influence political developments across multiple nations. Your recruitment would provide access to information and capabilities that could affect everything from German industrial capacity to Soviet military preparations. The pharmaceutical progression through tonight's extended engagement moves through carefully orchestrated phases designed to maximize information extraction while maintaining enough coherence for productive recruitment discussions. Your role requires managing your own chemical responses while observing and recording intelligence that multiple organizations would consider essential for their strategic planning. Recovery from tonight's pharmaceutical exposure occurs during Berlin's quietest hours, when the city briefly resembles normal urban environment, rather than the continuous intelligence operation that characterizes its nighttime entertainment district. The contrast emphasizes how completely your reality has diverged from conventional human experience through systematic chemical modification of consciousness. Your apartment welcomes you with familiar chaos that provides anchor points for awareness, gradually returning to manageable levels of enhancement. The journals awaiting documentation have become intelligence reports rather than personal records, chronicling systematic espionage activities disguised as entertainment performances in venues where state secrets become social currency. Your reflection reveals someone whose transformation from provincial girl to international intelligence asset has reached completion while destroying whatever authentic identity once existed beneath the chemical enhancements. The morning's pharmaceutical requirements will determine whether you survive another day of systematic self-destruction in service of organizations whose objectives you don't fully understand, but whose power over your survival has become absolute. The white powder sparkling on your dresser promises another day of artificial confidence and enhanced capabilities, but the quantities required continue increasing while your physical condition deteriorates at rates that make long-term survival a mathematical impossibility rather than a realistic goal. Your story has become a countdown toward either transcendence or destruction, with the outcome depending on choices that may no longer be entirely your own to make. The bread smell from below mingles with pharmaceutical residues to create the atmosphere that defines your existence at the intersection of entertainment and espionage, where every performance serves multiple masters and every chemical enhancement brings you closer to either ultimate achievement or complete dissolution. Your journey through Berlin's underground continues its relentless progression through territories that few humans have explored and fewer still have survived to remember. Few humans have explored and fewer still have survived to remember. The dawn of Friday brings tremors that no amount of white powder can entirely suppress, your hands betraying the toll that months of systematic enhancement have extracted from your nervous system. The experimental compounds have evolved beyond Dr. Mueller's original formulations into something that exists at the bleeding edge of pharmaceutical science, each dose carrying you further from baseline humanity while maintaining the artificial vitality that audiences demand. Your morning ritual now requires precise measurement of substances that didn't exist 6 months ago, compounds synthesized specifically for your unique tolerance levels and performance requirements. The chemistry set occupying your dresser resembles a miniature laboratory where you conduct daily experiments that push the boundaries of human consciousness while documenting the results in journals that have become scientific literature disguised as personal confession. The mirror shows someone whose transformation has progressed beyond recognition, your reflection occasionally displaying characteristics that seem to belong to different people entirely. The experimental drugs have begun affecting your perception of personal identity in ways that Dr. Mueller finds fascinating, but that create existential uncertainty about who you actually are beneath the layers of chemical enhancement. Walking through Friedrichstrasse, you notice surveillance activities that have become increasingly sophisticated, and less subtle foreign operatives no longer bother concealing their interest in your movements, while German authorities conduct their own observations with professional detachment that suggests official sanction for activities that would normally warrant investigation. Your status as international intelligence asset has apparently earned protection from legal consequences that would destroy ordinary citizens. The morning stop at Café Einstein reveals conversations that occur in multiple languages simultaneously, creating linguistic confusion that your enhanced awareness somehow translates into comprehensible intelligence about weapons shipments, currency manipulation, and political assassinations planned across European capitals. The pharmaceutical effects have expanded your cognitive capabilities beyond normal human limitations, while making you increasingly dependent on chemical intervention for basic mental functions. Klaus presents photographs from recent performances that capture expressions and interactions, revealing information that participants don't remember sharing. His camera has become an extension of intelligence operations that use artistic documentation as cover for systematic espionage activities conducted through social interactions in venues where state secrets become entertainment value. Today's conversation includes disturbing news about performers throughout Europe who have disappeared or died under suspicious circumstances, victims of either recruitment efforts gone wrong or elimination campaigns designed to prevent intelligence leaks that could affect international relations. Your own visibility within these networks has made you a target for both protective custody and permanent silencing by organizations whose interests conflict with your continued independent operation. The afternoon pharmaceutical consultation with Heinrich reveals supply shortages that reflect broader disruptions in international drug trafficking networks caused by political upheaval spreading throughout Europe. The chemicals required to maintain your performance capabilities have become scarce and expensive, forcing choices between peak functionality and financial sustainability that threaten both your artistic career and physical survival. Your tolerance levels now demand substances that exist only in experimental laboratories, creating dependencies that bind you to research programs whose ultimate objectives remain mysterious despite months of collaboration. The distinction between voluntary participation and involuntary subjection has disappeared as your survival depends entirely on continued access to compounds that only Dr. Mueller and his associates can provide. Evening preparation requires coordination of multiple chemical systems that interact unpredictably within your increasingly modified physiology, each combination representing calculated risks that could enhance your capabilities or trigger system failures that would end both your career and your life. The experimental nature of your current regimen means every performance could be your last, whether through transcendent achievement or catastrophic collapse. Tonight's venue is the notorious Silhouette Club, an establishment that caters specifically to international intelligence operatives seeking entertainment that doubles as information exchange. The clientele includes representatives from every major European power, plus several organizations whose national affiliations remain deliberately obscured through diplomatic immunity and corporate cover stories. Your arrival coincides with pharmaceutical service administered by uniformed attendants who circulate among guests with substances specifically formulated for enhanced social interaction under surveillance conditions, The ritualistic presentation transforms intelligence gathering into ceremonial activity that emphasizes sophistication while facilitating systematic espionage through chemically enhanced conversation. Tonight's performance occurs under the influence of Dr. Muller's most advanced experimental compound, which produces effects that seem to operate outside normal neurochemistry while maintaining enough connection to physical reality to enable professional presentation. The enhancement creates awareness of emotional undercurrents and hidden motivations that transforms entertainment into comprehensive intelligence analysis conducted in real time. The audience includes Colonel Morrison alongside new patrons representing Soviet, British and French intelligence services, their presence transforming your performance into competition between international powers seeking to recruit assets with your unique combination of capabilities. The pharmaceutical atmosphere creates false intimacy that encourages revelation of sensitive information, while your enhanced memory systems record details that could influence diplomatic negotiations and military planning. Between sets, you navigate conversations that reveal the scope of intelligence operations using Berlin's entertainment district as operational base for activities affecting European political stability. Multiple nations are recruiting performers throughout major cultural centers, creating networks that use artistic venues as cover for espionage activities that could reshape continental power relationships. Your enhanced social manipulation abilities enable you to guide discussions toward topics that reveal maximum intelligence while maintaining appearance of casual interest rather than systematic interrogation. The skills developed through pharmaceutical experimentation have evolved into sophisticated espionage capabilities that multiple organizations value highly enough to compete for your exclusive services. The evening's climactic moments occur during negotiations between intelligence representatives who use your performance as neutral ground for discussions that could affect everything from weapons development to territorial agreements. Your role involves providing atmospheric enhancement while observing and recording conversations that participants believe are private, despite occurring in venue designed specifically for intelligence gathering. Recovery from tonight's extended pharmaceutical exposure requires careful management of chemical transitions that have become increasingly complex as your tolerance develops and your baseline physiology deteriorates. The substances that enable peak performance also accelerate the physical damage that makes long-term survival mathematically impossible without dramatic intervention. Your taxi ride through Berlin's empty streets occurs during hours when the city reveals its underlying reality beneath the continuous performance that characterizes its nighttime identity. The contrast between chemically enhanced perception and mundane urban environment emphasizes how completely your existence has diverged from normal human experience through systematic modification of consciousness. The apartment above the bakery provides temporary sanctuary, where you document tonight's intelligence gathering in journals that have become operational reports for organizations whose identities and objectives remain partially concealed despite months of collaboration. Your personal experiences have transformed into state secrets, whose revelation could influence international relations and military capabilities. Your reflection shows someone whose journey from provincial performer to international intelligence asset has reached completion while destroying whatever authentic identity existed before the chemical enhancements began. The morning's pharmaceutical requirements will determine whether you survive another day of systematic espionage disguised as entertainment performance. The experimental compounds awaiting tomorrow's attention represent the cutting edge of pharmaceutical research into consciousness modification and human enhancement, but they also constitute the final stages of systematic self-destruction conducted in service of organizations whose power over your survival has become absolute. Your story continues its progression through territories that exist beyond normal human experience, where transcendence and annihilation occupy the same coordinates. The bread smell from below mingles with chemical residues that have become the atmospheric signature of your existence. At the intersection of art and espionage, where every performance serves multiple intelligence agencies, and every enhancement brings you closer to either ultimate achievement or complete dissolution in the crucible of Berlin's underground laboratory of human possibility. The Saturday morning light cuts through your apartment windows like shards of broken crystal, each beam revealing dust motes that dance with the same chaotic energy that now governs every aspect of your existence. Your body rebels against consciousness, demanding immediate chemical intervention to bridge the gap between last night's pharmaceutical heights and this morning's crushing return to baseline reality. The tremor in your hands has progressed beyond mere withdrawal symptoms into something that resembles permanent neurological damage. Yet the precise measurement of this morning's compounds requires steady fingers that no longer exist without artificial assistance. The small silver spoon trembles against the mirror's surface as you portion out substances that have evolved far beyond anything resembling conventional stimulants. Dr. Muller's latest formulation arrives in crystalline form that refracts light into rainbow patterns, each fragment containing molecular structures that exist nowhere in nature's pharmacy. The compound represents months of refinement based on your detailed reports about consciousness modification under extreme performance conditions, but today's dose carries warning labels written in scientific notation that suggest you're approaching territory where human physiology meets its absolute limitations. Your reflection fragments into multiple versions of yourself as the experimental drug takes effect, each image representing different aspects of the persona you've constructed through systematic chemical enhancement. The provincial girl appears briefly in peripheral vision before dissolving into the sophisticated performer who commands attention through artificial magnetism that grows stronger as your authentic self becomes increasingly inaccessible. The morning walk through Berlin reveals a city transforming under pressures that mirror your own internal evolution. Political demonstrations have escalated beyond mere street protests into organized military formations that suggest the experimental social atmosphere enabling your career may be approaching its historical limits. The stable decadence that attracted international visitors now exists within increasingly unstable political conditions that threaten the entire entertainment economy. Friedrichstrasse bustles with activity that carries undertones of preparation for conflict rather than celebration, though your enhanced perception may be interpreting ordinary commercial activity through the paranoid filter that accompanies advanced pharmaceutical dependency. The distinction between accurate observation and chemically induced delusion becomes meaningless when survival depends on maintaining peak alertness, regardless of the source of that awareness. Your arrival at Café Einstein coincides with heated discussions between regular patrons whose conversations reveal growing concern about the sustainability of Berlin's experimental social policies. The tolerance that enabled your transformation from powerless provincial into international intelligence asset requires economic prosperity and political stability that both appear increasingly fragile as 1926 progresses toward uncertain conclusions. Klaus greets you with photographs that document changes in your appearance over recent months, creating visual timeline of transformation that would be scientifically valuable if it weren't simultaneously tragic. His artistic eye captures details that reveal the systematic destruction occurring beneath cosmetic enhancements designed to conceal evidence of pharmaceutical abuse that has progressed beyond recreational into purely functional dependency. The morning's social interactions occur through layers of chemical enhancement that transform casual conversation into complex intelligence operations conducted almost unconsciously. Your enhanced memory systems record details about industrial capacity, military preparations, and political allegiances that emerge naturally through discussions about art and culture, while participants remain unaware of the systematic espionage occurring through seemingly innocent social exchange. Today's pharmaceutical consultation with Heinrich reveals supply chain disruptions that reflect broader economic instability affecting all aspects of German society. The chemicals required to maintain your performance capabilities have become so scarce and expensive that continued access depends entirely on sponsorship from organizations whose support comes with obligations that extend far beyond simple financial transactions. Heinrich's backroom pharmacy now resembles a military depot where substances arrive through diplomatic pouches rather than commercial channels, suggesting that your chemical dependencies have become matters of international significance rather than personal medical requirements. The compounds that enable your survival are apparently considered strategic resources by organizations that conduct research into human enhancement for purposes that extend beyond entertainment into military and intelligence applications. Your tolerance levels have reached points where ordinary pharmaceutical intervention produces no measurable effects, forcing reliance on experimental substances that exist only in prototype form within research facilities operated by governments and organizations whose ultimate objectives remain classified despite months of indirect collaboration. The distinction between voluntary participation and involuntary experimentation has disappeared, as your survival depends entirely on continued access to compounds that don't officially exist. The afternoon brings unexpected visitors to your apartment, in the form of uniformed officials whose credentials identify them as representatives of German military intelligence services. Their questions focus on your recent interactions with foreign nationals rather than your pharmaceutical activities, suggesting that your value as intelligence asset has attracted attention from domestic security organizations that monitor international espionage operations conducted through Berlin's entertainment venues. The officer's interest centers on information you've gathered during performances for international audiences, particularly details about weapons development, industrial capacity, and military preparations that emerge through conversations enhanced by chemical compounds that lowered participants' inhibitions while improving your memory and analytical capabilities. Your journals documenting these experiences have apparently become intelligence resources that multiple organizations consider strategically valuable. Their interview reveals that your activities have been monitored systematically by German authorities, who view your intelligence gathering as potential asset for national security purposes, rather than simple byproduct of entertainment career. The pharmaceutical enhancements that enabled your success as performer have also made you valuable as intelligence operative whose cover identity provides access to information that conventional espionage methods cannot obtain. The realization that your government considers you a strategic resource creates new layers of complexity in an already impossible situation where survival depends on satisfying multiple competing organizations whose objectives often conflict directly. Your chemical dependencies make resistance impossible, while your intelligence value makes elimination by foreign competitors increasingly likely as international tensions escalate throughout Europe. Evening preparation requires coordination of substances that have evolved far beyond Dr. Mueller's original experimental parameters into territory where pharmaceutical science meets military research into human performance enhancement. Tonight's performance will occur under influence of compounds designed specifically for intelligence gathering, under extreme social pressure, while maintaining artistic presentation that disguises systematic espionage as entertainment. The venue selected for tonight's engagement is a private mansion in Grunewald, where wealthy industrialists host gatherings that combine social entertainment with business negotiations affecting European economic relationships. Your role involves providing artistic presentation while observing and recording conversations that reveal information about industrial capacity, military contracts, and political alliances that could influence international relations. Tonight's pharmaceutical cocktail includes experimental compounds from multiple sources, creating effects that transcend previous experiences, while maintaining enough connection to physical reality to enable professional performance. The enhancement allows perception of emotional undercurrents and hidden motivations among participants whose own chemical consumption impairs their judgment about security protocols during sensitive discussions. Your performance begins as traditional cabaret presentation, but evolves into something that responds dynamically to the emotional atmosphere created by ongoing business negotiations and intelligence operations, disguised as social interaction. The chemical enhancements enable you to translate surveillance activities and recruitment efforts into artistic expression that entertains audiences, while providing commentary on activities they don't fully comprehend. Between performance segments, you circulate among guests whose pharmaceutical influence encourages revelation of information about weapon shipments, currency manipulation schemes, and diplomatic strategies that intelligence services would consider invaluable. The conversations occur naturally through social interaction, rather than systematic interrogation, making your espionage activities appear accidental rather than deliberate to participants whose chemical states impair their security awareness. Tonight's audience includes representatives from arms manufacturers, diplomatic services, and industrial concerns whose business relationships affect everything from territorial negotiations to military preparedness throughout Europe. Their discussions reveal the complex web of agreements and conflicts that shape international relations through private transactions conducted in venues where state secrets become social currency, exchanged for pharmaceutical enhancement and exclusive entertainment. The evening's climactic moments occur during negotiations between industrial representatives whose agreements could affect weapons development and military capabilities across multiple nations. Your enhanced observational abilities enable real-time analysis of emotional dynamics and strategic implications, while maintaining artistic presentation that provides cover for comprehensive intelligence gathering operations. Your final performance of the evening transcends previous achievements through combination of pharmaceutical enhancement and artistic expression that creates effects seeming to operate beyond normal human capabilities, while documenting intelligence that could influence diplomatic relationships and military planning throughout Europe. The success validates experimental approaches while demonstrating complete dependence on chemical intervention that now defines every aspect of your professional and personal identity. Recovery from tonight's extended pharmaceutical exposure occurs during Berlin's quietest hours, when the city reveals underlying tensions that threaten the experimental social atmosphere. Enabling your career, political demonstrations have evolved into organized military activities that suggest the stable decadence supporting your transformation may be approaching historical termination as Germany struggles with economic pressures and political extremism. The taxi ride through empty streets provides time to process intelligence gathered during tonight's performance, information that multiple organizations would consider essential for strategic planning, but that exists only in your chemically enhanced memory systems. Your personal experiences have become state secrets whose revelation could influence international relations, while your continued survival depends on satisfying competing interests that view you as expendable asset rather than human being. Your apartment welcomes you with familiar chaos that provides anchor points for consciousness gradually returning to manageable levels of pharmaceutical influence. The journals awaiting documentation have become operational reports for intelligence services whose identities remain partially concealed, despite months of systematic collaboration through venues where entertainment and espionage occupy identical coordinates. Your reflection reveals someone whose transformation from provincial performer to international intelligence asset has reached completion while destroying whatever authentic identity existed before systematic chemical modification began. The experimental compounds have evolved beyond performance enhancement into something that exists at intersection of pharmaceutical research and military applications, creating dependencies that bind you to organizations whose objectives extend far beyond your personal survival. The morning light filtering through windows illuminates evidence of systematic self-destruction conducted in service of intelligence operations that use human consciousness as laboratory for experiments, whose implications extend beyond individual cases into broader questions about enhancement, identity, and survival in a world where chemical modification of awareness has become strategic capability rather than personal choice. The white powder awaiting tomorrow's attention represents cutting edge of research into consciousness modification and human performance, but quantities required continue increasing, while physical condition deteriorates at rates making long-term survival mathematical impossibility rather than realistic goal. Your story has become countdown toward either transcendence through ultimate pharmaceutical achievement or destruction through systematic enhancement that consumes whatever humanity remains beneath artificial capabilities. The bread smell from below mingles with chemical residues that define atmospheric signature of existence at intersection of entertainment and intelligence gathering, where every performance serves multiple agencies and every enhancement brings you closer to either ultimate achievement or complete dissolution in Berlin's underground laboratory of human possibility and systematic destruction. Sunday morning arrives with the weight of accumulated choices pressing against your consciousness, like lead blankets soaked in regret. The experimental compounds from last night's intelligence gathering have left residual effects that blur the boundaries between memory and hallucination, making it impossible to distinguish between conversations you actually overheard and information your chemically altered mind constructed from fragments of whispered secrets. Your hands shake violently as you attempt to measure this morning's pharmaceutical requirements, the silver spoon clattering against glass surfaces with percussion that echoes through your skull like gunshots in an empty cathedral. The tremor has progressed beyond withdrawal symptoms into permanent neurological damage that no amount of white powder can completely suppress. Yet stopping remains impossible when your survival depends on maintaining artificial vitality that audiences and intelligence handlers expect from Berlin's premier assets. The mirror reflects fragmented images that shift between your current appearance and ghostly impressions of the provincial girl who arrived in this city with nothing but desperate ambition and romantic delusions about artistic freedom. The experimental drugs have begun affecting your perception of temporal continuity in ways that make past and present equally vivid, while rendering future planning increasingly impossible beyond the next few hours of chemical management. Dr. Mueller's latest formulation arrives through courier services that operate with diplomatic immunity. The crystalline substance contained within vials marked with chemical formulas that suggest molecular structures existing nowhere in conventional pharmaceutical literature. Each dose represents months of refinement based on your detailed reports about consciousness modification under extreme performance conditions. But today's compound carries documentation warning that you're approaching physiological limits where human enhancement meets systematic destruction. The morning walk through Friedrichstrasse reveals Berlin transforming under pressures that mirror your own internal evolution towards something that may no longer qualify as entirely human. Street demonstrations have evolved beyond political protests into organized paramilitary formations whose uniforms and rhetoric suggest the experimental social atmosphere enabling your career approaches. Historical termination as Germany struggles with economic collapse and ideological extremism that threatens the cosmopolitan tolerance supporting international intelligence operations. Your enhanced perception notices surveillance activities that have become increasingly sophisticated, while simultaneously less subtle. Foreign operatives monitoring your movements with professional detachment that suggests official coordination between multiple intelligence services. German authorities conduct parallel observations, with equipment indicating state-sponsored interest in your activities that extends far beyond simple law enforcement into areas involving national security and strategic intelligence gathering. The familiar stop at Café Einstein occurs within atmosphere, charged with tensions that your pharmaceutical-enhanced awareness interprets as preparation for conflict, rather than ordinary commercial activity. Regular patrons engage in conversations conducted through coded language that your experimental cognitive enhancements somehow translate into comprehensible intelligence about weapons shipments, political assassinations, and economic manipulation schemes affecting European stability. Klaus presents photographs documenting your physical deterioration over recent months, images that would constitute valuable scientific data about long-term effects of experimental pharmaceutical enhancement, if they weren't simultaneously tragic documentation of systematic self-destruction. His artistic perspective captures details revealing the biological cost of chemical capabilities that enable intelligence gathering at levels exceeding normal human limitations, while destroying the physiology required to sustain such enhanced performance. Today's social interactions occur through multiple layers of pharmaceutical influence that transform casual conversation into complex espionage operations conducted almost unconsciously through your enhanced memory systems and social manipulation abilities. Information about industrial capacity, military preparations, and diplomatic strategies emerges naturally during discussions about artistic movements, while participants remain unaware of systematic intelligence extraction occurring through seemingly innocent cultural exchange. The afternoon pharmaceutical consultation with Heinrich reveals supply shortages reflecting broader economic instability that threatens all aspects of German society, including the underground networks supporting your chemical dependencies. The substances required to maintain your performance capabilities have become so scarce and expensive that continued access depends entirely on sponsorship from intelligence organizations whose support involves obligations extending far beyond financial transactions into areas affecting national security and international relations. Heinrich's backroom pharmacy now resembles military depot, where experimental compounds arrive through channels suggesting your chemical requirements have become matters of international strategic importance rather than personal medical needs. The distinction between voluntary participation in pharmaceutical research and involuntary subjection to human experimentation has disappeared as your survival depends entirely on continued access to substances that exist only within classified research programs, operated by organizations whose ultimate objectives remain concealed, despite months of systematic collaboration. Your tolerance levels demand intervention with experimental substances that produce no measurable effects through conventional administration methods, forcing reliance on compounds that exist only in prototype form within government research facilities. The chemicals enabling your enhanced capabilities are apparently considered strategic resources by multiple nations conducting research into human performance modification for military and intelligence applications that extend far beyond entertainment into areas affecting European political relationships. Evening preparation requires coordination of multiple chemical systems interacting unpredictably within your increasingly modified physiology, each combination representing calculated risks that could enhance your intelligence gathering capabilities or trigger system failures, ending both your usefulness as asset and your biological existence. The experimental nature of your current pharmaceutical regimen means every performance could achieve transcendent success or catastrophic collapse with equal probability. Tonight's venue represents the pinnacle of Berlin's intelligence gathering infrastructure disguised as entertainment establishment, a private club where diplomatic immunity protects activities that would constitute serious crimes under normal legal jurisdiction. The clientele includes representatives from every major European intelligence service, plus several organizations whose national affiliations remain deliberately obscured through corporate cover stories and diplomatic credentials. Your arrival coincides with pharmaceutical service administered by personnel whose medical training suggests military rather than civilian backgrounds. Their distribution of experimental compounds creating atmospheric conditions optimal for intelligence extraction through chemically enhanced social interaction. The ritualistic presentation transforms espionage activities into ceremonial events emphasizing sophistication, while facilitating systematic information gathering through participants whose judgment becomes impaired by substances designed specifically for loosening tongues and lowering security awareness. Tonight's performance occurs under influence of Dr. Muller's most advanced experimental compound combined with substances provided by multiple intelligence services, creating effects that seem to operate outside normal neurochemical parameters while maintaining enough connection to physical reality to enable professional presentation. The enhancement creates supernatural awareness of emotional undercurrents and hidden motivations that transforms entertainment into comprehensive real-time intelligence analysis conducted through artistic expression. The audience includes Colonel Morrison, alongside representatives from Soviet, British, French, and Italian intelligence services, whose presence transforms your performance into international competition for recruitment of assets, with your unique combination of capabilities and vulnerabilities. The pharmaceutical atmosphere creates false intimacy, encouraging revelation of sensitive information, while your enhanced memory systems record details that could influence diplomatic negotiations, military planning, and economic relationships throughout Europe. Between performance segments, you navigate conversations revealing the scope of intelligence operations, using Berlin's entertainment district as operational headquarters for activities affecting continental political stability. Multiple nations recruit performers throughout European cultural centers, creating networks using artistic venues as cover for espionage activities that could reshape international power relationships through systematic information gathering disguised as social entertainment. Your enhanced social manipulation abilities enable guidance of discussions toward topics revealing maximum intelligence, while maintaining appearance of casual interest rather than systematic interrogation, skills developed through pharmaceutical experimentation that have evolved into sophisticated espionage capabilities, valued highly enough by multiple organizations to justify international competition for your exclusive services and the strategic intelligence you can provide through chemically enhanced performance. The evening's climactic moments occur during negotiations between intelligence representatives, using your performance as neutral ground for discussions affecting weapons development, territorial agreements, and economic policies that could determine European political relationships for decades. Your role involves providing atmospheric enhancement while observing and recording conversations that participants believe are private, despite occurring in venue designed specifically for intelligence gathering through entertainment that doubles as systematic espionage. Late evening brings conversations revealing American plans for establishing similar operations throughout European cultural centers, using talented performers as intelligence assets in networks that could influence political developments across multiple nations through systematic recruitment of individuals whose artistic careers provide cover for activities affecting international relations and military capabilities. Your potential recruitment would provide access to information and strategic positions that could affect everything from German industrial capacity to Soviet military preparations. Recovery from tonight's extended pharmaceutical exposure requires careful management of chemical transitions that have become increasingly complex as your tolerance develops beyond levels sustainable through normal human physiology. The substances enabling peak intelligence gathering performance also accelerate physical damage, making long-term survival mathematically impossible without dramatic intervention that no organization seems willing to provide given your current value as expendable asset. Your taxi ride through Berlin's empty streets occurs during hours when the city reveals underlying tensions threatening the experimental social atmosphere that enabled your transformation from provincial performer to international intelligence operative. Political demonstrations have evolved into organized military activities suggesting stable decadence. Supporting your career may be approaching historical termination as Germany struggles with economic pressures and political extremism that could eliminate the cosmopolitan tolerance required for international espionage operations. The apartment above the bakery provides temporary sanctuary where you document tonight's intelligence gathering in journals that have become operational reports for organizations whose identities remain partially concealed despite months of systematic collaboration through venues where state secrets become social currency exchanged for pharmaceutical enhancement and exclusive access to information affecting European political and military relationships. Your reflection reveals someone whose journey from powerless provincial to international strategic asset has reached completion while destroying whatever authentic identity existed before systematic chemical modification began. The experimental compounds have evolved beyond performance enhancement into something existing at intersection of pharmaceutical research and military applications, creating dependencies that bind you to intelligence services whose objectives extend far beyond your personal survival into areas affecting national security and international stability. The morning light filtering through windows illuminates evidence of systematic enhancement conducted in service of intelligence operations that use human consciousness as laboratory for experiments whose implications extend beyond individual cases into broader questions about identity, survival, and the cost of artificial capabilities in world, where chemical modification of awareness has become strategic necessity rather than personal choice for those operating at intersection of entertainment and espionage. The white powder awaiting tomorrow's attention represents cutting edge of research into consciousness modification and human performance enhancement. But quantities required continue increasing while your physical condition deteriorates at rates making long-term survival impossible without intervention that organizations controlling your pharmaceutical supply seem unwilling to provide. Your story has become countdown toward either transcendence through ultimate chemical achievement or destruction, through enhancement that consumes whatever humanity remains beneath artificial intelligence gathering capabilities. The bread smell from below mingles with pharmaceutical residues defining atmospheric signature of existence, where entertainment and intelligence operations occupy identical coordinates, every performance serving multiple agencies, while every chemical enhancement brings you closer to either ultimate achievement as strategic asset or complete dissolution in Berlin's underground laboratory, where human possibility meets systematic destruction through experimental modification of consciousness itself. Monday's dawn brings the familiar ritual of chemical resurrection. Though your body now requires calculations that would challenge a pharmacist to achieve what once came naturally through simple ambition and rouge, the experimental compounds have progressed beyond Dr. Mueller's original research parameters into territory where each dose represents collaboration between German military science and international intelligence requirements that view your consciousness as shared laboratory resource. Your morning preparation occurs within an apartment that has transformed into sophisticated drug testing facility where multiple nations conduct research through your daily survival requirements. The substances arriving through diplomatic channels now include molecular structures designed specifically for your unique tolerance levels and intelligence gathering capabilities, each compound representing months of refinement based on reports documenting systematic enhancement of human consciousness beyond conventional limitations. The tremor affecting your hands has stabilized into permanent neurological modification that actually improves your ability to detect subtle environmental changes during surveillance operations, though it makes ordinary activities like applying cosmetics nearly impossible without pharmaceutical intervention. Your reflection shows someone whose physical deterioration has paradoxically enhanced your value as intelligence asset while making normal human interaction increasingly difficult without chemical mediation. Walking through Berlin's morning streets, you notice preparations for what appears to be systematic evacuation of foreign nationals whose governments anticipate political upheaval that could eliminate the experimental social atmosphere supporting international intelligence operations. The stable decadence enabling your career exists within increasingly unstable conditions that multiple organizations are preparing to abandon, while extracting maximum value from assets like yourself, who represent significant investment in human enhancement research. Your enhanced perception reveals surveillance activities coordinated between multiple intelligence services, who monitor your movements with equipment, suggesting international cooperation in protecting valuable assets during politically unstable periods. German authorities conduct parallel observations, indicating state interest in your activities that extends beyond law enforcement into areas involving strategic intelligence and national security considerations affecting European political relationships. The morning consultation at Heinrich's pharmaceutical depot reveals supply chain disruptions reflecting broader economic collapse, threatening all aspects of German society, including underground networks supporting experimental drug research. The chemicals required to maintain your performance capabilities now arrive exclusively through military channels, suggesting your survival has become matter of international strategic importance rather than personal medical requirement. Heinrich presents compounds that exist only within classified research programs operated by organizations whose ultimate objectives remain concealed, despite months of systematic collaboration through your body's responses to experimental pharmaceutical interventions. The distinction between voluntary participation and involuntary experimentation has disappeared completely, as continued access to life-sustaining substances depends entirely on satisfying intelligence requirements from multiple competing nations. Afternoon brings unexpected visit from uniformed officials whose credentials identify them as representatives of newly formed German Military Intelligence Coordination Unit, responsible for managing foreign assets operating within national territory. Their questions focus on your intelligence gathering capabilities rather than pharmaceutical activities, suggesting your value as strategic resource has attracted attention from domestic security organizations preparing for potential conflict scenarios. The officers reveal that your activities have been monitored systematically as part of broader intelligence assessment regarding foreign operations conducted through Berlin's entertainment venues. Your pharmaceutical enhancements and intelligence gathering skills are apparently considered national resources that require protection during periods of political instability that could eliminate international cooperation, currently enabling your survival and operational effectiveness. Their interview discloses German government interest in maintaining your services exclusively for domestic intelligence purposes, rather than sharing your capabilities with foreign organizations whose objectives may conflict with national security interests. The pharmaceutical dependencies making you valuable as intelligence asset also provide leverage for controlling your activities during periods when international relationships become adversarial rather than cooperative. Evening preparation requires coordination of experimental substances provided by German military research facilities rather than international sources, creating effects that differ qualitatively from previous pharmaceutical experiences while maintaining intelligence gathering capabilities essential for your operational value. Tonight's performance will occur under influence of compounds designed specifically for domestic intelligence requirements rather than international cooperation. The venue selected represents pinnacle of German intelligence, gathering infrastructure, private establishment, where diplomatic protocols protect activities that serve national security interests through entertainment that doubles as systematic espionage. The clientele includes German industrial leaders, military officials, and government representatives whose conversations reveal information about domestic capabilities and strategic planning that foreign intelligence services would consider invaluable. Your performance begins as sophisticated cabaret presentation, but evolves into comprehensive intelligence operation conducted through artistic expression that provides cover for systematic observation and recording of sensitive discussions about German military capabilities, industrial capacity, and strategic planning. The pharmaceutical enhancements enable real-time analysis of emotional dynamics and strategic implications, while maintaining entertainment value that disguises espionage activities. Between performance segments, you circulate among audience members whose conversations reveal details about weapons development, economic planning, and political strategies that could affect international relationships throughout Europe. The information emerges naturally through social interaction, enhanced by chemical compounds that improve both your memory retention and social manipulation capabilities, while impairing participants' security awareness during sensitive discussions. Tonight's audience represents cross-section of German power structure, including representatives from arms manufacturing, diplomatic services, and industrial concerns whose business relationships affect national security and international competitiveness. Their discussions expose complex relationships between government policy, military requirements, and economic interests that shape Germany's strategic position within European political dynamics. The evening's climactic moments occur during negotiations between industrial and military representatives, whose agreements could affect weapons development and strategic capabilities that determine Germany's ability to compete with other European powers. Your enhanced observational abilities enable comprehensive analysis of these discussions, while maintaining artistic presentation that provides perfect cover for intelligence gathering activities. Your final performance transcends previous achievements through combination of pharmaceutical enhancement and artistic expression that creates effects operating beyond normal human capabilities, while documenting intelligence essential for understanding German strategic planning and military capabilities. The success validates experimental approaches while demonstrating complete dependence on chemical intervention, now defining every aspect of your existence as strategic asset. Late evening recovery occurs during Berlin's transformation from international entertainment center into increasingly militarized environment, where foreign operations face systematic elimination through political changes that threaten the cosmopolitan atmosphere, enabling international intelligence cooperation. Your survival depends on adapting to new reality, where loyalty to German interests becomes essential for continued access to life-sustaining pharmaceutical support. The taxi ride reveals city preparing for conflict through military preparations that suggest the experimental social policies enabling your career are approaching historical termination as Germany embraces political extremism incompatible with international cooperation. Your apartment provides temporary sanctuary where you document intelligence gathered for German authorities rather than foreign organizations whose influence over your survival has been systematically eliminated. Your reflection shows someone whose transformation from international intelligence asset to domestic strategic resource represents adaptation to changing political conditions that require exclusive loyalty to German interests. The experimental compounds continue evolving to serve national security requirements rather than international research cooperation, creating new dependencies that bind you completely to organizations whose objectives now focus on German strategic advantages rather than collaborative intelligence sharing. Morning light illuminates evidence of systematic reorientation from international cooperation to domestic security priorities that use your enhanced capabilities for exclusively German intelligence requirements. The pharmaceutical research continues, but now serves national strategic objectives rather than collaborative scientific inquiry, creating new forms of dependency that eliminate any possibility of independence or international mobility. Your journals document transition from international intelligence asset to German strategic resource, whose survival depends entirely on satisfying domestic security requirements rather than maintaining relationships with foreign organizations. The experimental enhancement continues, but now serves exclusively German objectives that view your capabilities as national assets rather than collaborative research subjects available for international intelligence sharing. The white powder awaiting today's attention represents German military pharmaceutical research rather than international cooperation, quantities and formulations designed to serve domestic intelligence requirements, while eliminating foreign influence over your survival and operational capabilities. Your story has become testament to how quickly international cooperation can transform into national competition when political conditions eliminate the stability required for collaborative intelligence operations. The bread smell from below mingles with pharmaceutical residues that now serve exclusively German strategic interests rather than international research cooperation. Every enhancement bringing you deeper into dependencies that eliminate any possibility of escape from Berlin's transformation into militarized environment, where your survival depends entirely on satisfying domestic intelligence requirements rather than maintaining international relationships that previously enabled your chemical dependencies and strategic value. The morning routine now serves German national security rather than international intelligence cooperation, each dose representing exclusive commitment to domestic strategic objectives that view your enhanced capabilities as national resource rather than collaborative asset available for sharing with foreign organizations whose influence over your survival has been systematically eliminated through political changes that prioritize German interests above international cooperation. Your existence continues at intersection of pharmaceutical research and intelligence operations, but now exclusively within German national framework that eliminates international cooperation while maintaining experimental enhancement serving domestic strategic requirements. The transformation from international asset to national resource reflects broader political changes that prioritize exclusive loyalty over collaborative intelligence sharing in world, where chemical modification of consciousness has become tool of national competition rather than international cooperation. Tuesday morning brings realization that your transformation has reached final stage, where survival depends entirely on exclusive service to German intelligence requirements rather than international cooperation that previously enabled your pharmaceutical dependencies and strategic value. The experimental compounds now serve purely domestic objectives that view your capabilities as national strategic asset rather than collaborative research subject available for international intelligence sharing. The enhanced awareness created through months of pharmaceutical experimentation now focuses exclusively on German strategic interests rather than international cooperation. Every observation and intelligence gathering activity serving domestic security requirements rather than collaborative objectives that previously justified your systematic enhancement through experimental consciousness modification. Your story continues as exclusively German intelligence asset, whose survival depends on satisfying national strategic requirements rather than maintaining international relationships. The apartment above the bakery has become German intelligence facility rather than international research laboratory. Every pharmaceutical enhancement serving domestic strategic objectives rather than collaborative scientific inquiry. Your consciousness operates as national resource rather than international asset. Systematic modification of awareness serving exclusively German intelligence requirements rather than cooperative research that previously enabled your survival and operational effectiveness. Your reflection reveals someone whose journey has culminated in complete absorption into German intelligence apparatus rather than international cooperation, pharmaceutical dependencies, creating exclusive loyalty to domestic strategic objectives rather than collaborative relationships with foreign organizations. The experimental enhancement continues, but now serves purely national interests that view your capabilities as strategic advantage in competition with other European powers, rather than collaborative asset available for international intelligence sharing. The bread's aroma from below has become your morning alarm clock, though sleep and waking have blurred into indistinguishable states where consciousness operates on pharmaceutical schedules rather than natural rhythms. Your body has adapted to existence that requires chemical intervention for basic functions, like standing, thinking, and maintaining the artificial vitality that German intelligence now demands exclusively. The experimental compounds arriving through military channels have evolved beyond Dr. Müller's original research into something that serves purely strategic objectives rather than scientific curiosity. Each dose represents German national investment in human enhancement capabilities that provide competitive advantages over other European powers whose intelligence services no longer have access to your systematically modified consciousness. Your morning preparation occurs within what has become a classified facility disguised as performer's apartment. Every pharmaceutical measurement monitored through equipment that records your responses for military research programs, whose ultimate applications extend far beyond intelligence gathering into areas affecting national defense capabilities. The tremor in your hands has stabilized into permanent modification that actually improves your ability to detect environmental changes during surveillance operations. Walking through Berlin's streets reveals a city transforming under pressures that prioritize German strategic interests over the international cooperation that previously enabled your career. Foreign nationals evacuate through organized programs, while domestic authorities establish control over intelligence assets like yourself, whose capabilities represent significant investment in human enhancement research that serves national security objectives. The familiar route to your pharmaceutical consultation now involves checkpoints, where German officials verify your identity and operational status as classified strategic resource rather than independent performer. Heinrich's depot has been absorbed into military supply networks that provide experimental compounds exclusively for domestic intelligence purposes, rather than international research collaboration. Your enhanced perception notices systematic elimination of foreign intelligence operations that previously competed for your services. German authorities establishing exclusive control over assets whose pharmaceutical dependencies create leverage for ensuring complete loyalty to national strategic objectives. The international cooperation that enabled your transformation has been replaced by domestic control that eliminates any possibility of independent operation. The morning consultation reveals supplies that arrive exclusively through German military channels rather than international cooperation. Each compound designed specifically for intelligence gathering operations that serve national strategic interests rather than collaborative research objectives. Your tolerance levels now require substances that exist only within classified German programs whose applications extend beyond entertainment into military and diplomatic areas. Afternoon brings routine verification of your operational status by uniformed officials, whose questions focus on your loyalty to German strategic objectives rather than your pharmaceutical requirements or intelligence gathering capabilities. Your value as national resource requires constant assessment to ensure exclusive service to domestic interests rather than foreign organizations whose influence has been systematically eliminated. Your apartment has been modified with surveillance equipment that monitors your responses to experimental compounds for research programs serving German military applications rather than international scientific cooperation. The journals documenting your experiences have become classified intelligence reports rather than personal records, your consciousness operating as national laboratory for human enhancement research. Evening preparation requires coordination with German intelligence handlers, whose oversight ensures your performance serves exclusively domestic strategic objectives rather than foreign interests. Tonight's venue represents pinnacle of German intelligence infrastructure, where diplomatic protocols protect activities serving national security through entertainment that doubles as systematic espionage against international competitors. The pharmaceutical cocktail provided for tonight's operation includes experimental compounds developed specifically for German strategic requirements rather than international cooperation, creating effects that enhance your intelligence gathering capabilities while ensuring complete dependence on domestic supply networks. Your performance will serve exclusively German objectives rather than collaborative research interests. Tonight's audience consists entirely of German officials, military leaders, and industrial representatives whose conversations reveal information about domestic capabilities that foreign intelligence services desperately want to obtain. Your role involves comprehensive observation and recording of strategic discussions while maintaining entertainment presentation that provides perfect cover for intelligence operations. The venue's atmosphere reflects Germany's transformation from international cooperation to domestic strategic focus. Every conversation serving national interests rather than collaborative objectives. Your enhanced social manipulation abilities guide discussions toward topics that reveal maximum intelligence about German military capabilities, industrial capacity, and strategic planning that affects international competitiveness. Between performance segments, you circulate among audience members whose pharmaceutical influence encourages revelation of sensitive information about weapons development, economic planning, and political strategies that determine Germany's position within European power dynamics. The conversations occur naturally through social interaction that disguises systematic intelligence extraction as entertainment engagement. Your performance combines traditional artistic elements with interpretive expression that responds to emotional dynamics of strategic planning discussions, translating military preparations and industrial developments into aesthetic presentation that entertains audiences while documenting intelligence essential for understanding German capabilities and strategic intentions that affect international relationships. The evening's climactic moments occur during negotiations between military and industrial representatives whose agreements affect weapons development and strategic capabilities that determine Germany's competitive position against other European powers. Your enhanced observational abilities enable real-time analysis of these discussions while maintaining artistic presentation that provides comprehensive cover for intelligence gathering. Late evening recovery occurs within increasingly militarized environment where your survival depends entirely on satisfying German strategic requirements rather than maintaining international relationships. The pharmaceutical compounds that enable your enhanced capabilities now serve exclusively domestic objectives that view your consciousness as national resource rather than collaborative research subject. Your taxi ride through Berlin reveals systematic elimination of international cooperation in favor of domestic strategic focus that prioritizes German advantages over collaborative intelligence sharing. The city has transformed from cosmopolitan entertainment center into increasingly nationalized environment where foreign influence faces systematic exclusion through political changes that prioritize domestic control. The apartment welcomes you with familiar surroundings that now serve exclusively German intelligence purposes rather than international research cooperation. Your journals document experiences that have become classified strategic intelligence rather than personal records, systematic enhancement of consciousness, serving national objectives rather than collaborative scientific inquiry that previously justified experimental pharmaceutical interventions. Your reflection shows someone whose transformation from international intelligence asset to German strategic resource represents complete absorption into domestic intelligence apparatus that eliminates any possibility of independent operation or international mobility. The experimental compounds have created dependencies that ensure exclusive loyalty to German objectives rather than collaborative relationships with foreign organizations. Morning light illuminates evidence of systematic reorientation from international cooperation to exclusive service of German strategic interests that view your enhanced capabilities as national competitive advantages rather than collaborative research subjects. The pharmaceutical enhancement continues, but now serves purely domestic objectives that prioritize German intelligence requirements over international scientific cooperation. The experimental substances awaiting today's attention represent German military research rather than international collaboration. Molecular structures designed to serve national strategic objectives while eliminating foreign influence over your survival and operational capabilities. Your consciousness operates as exclusively German intelligence resource, rather than international asset available for collaborative intelligence sharing with other nations. Your existence continues within framework that serves German national security rather than international cooperation. Every pharmaceutical enhancement bringing deeper integration into domestic intelligence apparatus that views your systematically modified awareness as strategic advantage in competition with other European powers rather than collaborative asset for international research cooperation. The bread smell from below mingles with pharmaceutical residues that now serve exclusively German strategic objectives rather than international research collaboration. Atmospheric signature of existence where consciousness modification serves national competition rather than collaborative scientific inquiry. Your story has become testament to transformation of international cooperation into national strategic resource that eliminates any possibility of independence or foreign influence. Wednesday morning arrives with pharmaceutical requirements that serve purely German military research rather than international collaboration. Each compound designed to enhance intelligence gathering capabilities for domestic strategic objectives rather than cooperative scientific inquiry. Your consciousness operates as national laboratory where human enhancement serves German competitive advantages rather than collaborative research that previously justified systematic modification of awareness through experimental chemical interventions. The morning routine now involves coordination with German intelligence handlers, whose oversight ensures exclusive loyalty to domestic strategic requirements rather than international relationships that previously enabled your survival and operational effectiveness. Your apartment has become classified facility where every pharmaceutical measurement serves national security objectives rather than collaborative research interests that originally enabled your transformation from provincial performer to strategic intelligence asset. Your enhanced capabilities now focus exclusively on German strategic interests rather than international cooperation that previously justified experimental consciousness modification through systematic pharmaceutical enhancement. The transformation from collaborative research subject to national strategic resource reflects broader political changes that prioritize domestic advantages over international scientific cooperation in areas affecting military capabilities and intelligence operations. The experimental compounds continue evolving to serve German national objectives rather than international research cooperation, creating new dependencies that ensure complete integration into domestic intelligence apparatus, while eliminating any possibility of foreign influence over your survival or operational capabilities. Your story continues as exclusively German strategic asset whose enhanced consciousness serves national competitive advantages rather than collaborative intelligence sharing with international organizations. Your consciousness operates within framework that serves German strategic objectives exclusively rather than international cooperation. Systematic pharmaceutical enhancement, creating capabilities that provide national competitive advantages in intelligence gathering operations against other European powers. The transformation from international asset to domestic strategic resource represents complete absorption into German intelligence apparatus that views your enhanced awareness as a national security capability rather than collaborative research subject. The morning light reveals existence that serves exclusively German national interests rather than international cooperation. Every pharmaceutical enhancement, deepening integration into domestic strategic framework that eliminates foreign influence while maximizing intelligence gathering capabilities for national competitive advantages. Your journey has reached final stage where survival depends entirely on satisfying German strategic requirements rather than maintaining international relationships that previously enabled your systematic enhancement through experimental consciousness modification. The Wednesday afternoon brings a summons that arrives not through Heinrich's usual channels, but via a young woman in a grey coat whose eyes hold the same pharmaceutical brightness that marks all of Berlin's enhanced performers. She speaks in rapid German about an emergency consultation at a location that doesn't appear on any official maps, her urgency suggesting that your strategic value has created complications requiring immediate attention. Your preparation for this unexpected meeting involves careful selection of compounds that will maintain peak awareness while allowing for rapid adaptation to unknown circumstances. The experimental substances have evolved to the point where your consciousness can operate on multiple levels simultaneously, processing information through enhanced neural pathways while maintaining the artificial composure that German intelligence now requires from their most valuable assets. The journey through Berlin's industrial district reveals a city transforming its infrastructure to support military preparations that extend far beyond simple defense into areas affecting European power relationships. Your enhanced perception notices construction projects that serve dual purposes, civilian facilities designed to accommodate military requirements during periods when international cooperation gives way to strategic competition. The consultation location proves to be a converted pharmaceutical laboratory where German military scientists conduct research into human enhancement capabilities that could provide decisive advantages in future conflicts. Dr. Reichmann, who replaces Dr. Müller in your pharmaceutical management, represents a new approach that prioritizes military applications over scientific curiosity about consciousness modification. His examination reveals physiological changes that have progressed beyond simple adaptation into something resembling evolutionary leap. Your nervous system restructured through months of experimental enhancement to process information and respond to stimuli in ways that exceed normal human capabilities by significant margins. The transformation has reached points where reversal would be impossible even if German authorities were willing to sacrifice their investment in your development. The consultation includes testing of new compounds designed specifically for intelligence gathering operations that require sustained performance under extreme psychological pressure, while maintaining the social manipulation skills that make you invaluable for extracting information from foreign targets. These substances represent synthesis of everything learned through your systematic enhancement, refined into pharmaceutical tools that serve exclusively German strategic objectives. Dr. Reichmann explains that your unique combination of enhanced capabilities and complete dependence on German pharmaceutical support makes you ideal for operations that require deep cover infiltration of foreign intelligence networks. Your transformation from entertainment performer to strategic asset has created opportunities for missions that conventional operatives could never accomplish due to the artificial charisma and supernatural awareness that chemical enhancement provides. The new operational parameters involve assignment to targets that extend beyond Berlin's entertainment district into international venues where your reputation as sophisticated performer provides cover for intelligence gathering activities that could affect European political relationships. Your enhanced capabilities will serve German strategic interests through missions requiring sustained deception under conditions where discovery would mean immediate elimination. Evening preparation for tonight's test operation involves pharmaceutical cocktails that push your enhanced consciousness to absolute limits while maintaining enough connection to baseline reality to enable professional presentation. The compounds create awareness that operates simultaneously across multiple dimensions of perception, enabling comprehensive analysis of complex social situations while maintaining the artificial magnetism that attracts valuable targets. Tonight's venue represents the ultimate expression of German intelligence sophistication, private establishment where diplomatic immunity protects activities serving national strategic interests through entertainment that doubles as systematic espionage against carefully selected international targets. Your performance will serve as cover for intelligence operations, whose success could influence German competitive position within European power dynamics. The audience includes foreign diplomats, military attachés, and intelligence operatives whose presence in Berlin provides opportunities for systematic information extraction through social interaction enhanced by pharmaceutical compounds that improve your memory retention while impairing their security awareness during sensitive conversations. Each target represents specific intelligence requirements that serve German strategic planning. Your performance begins as sophisticated cabaret presentation, but evolves into comprehensive psychological operation, conducted through artistic expression that provides perfect cover for systematic manipulation of foreign intelligence assets. The pharmaceutical enhancement enables real-time analysis of emotional vulnerabilities while maintaining entertainment value that disguises intelligence-gathering activities as cultural appreciation. Between performance segments, you circulate among carefully selected targets whose conversations reveal information about foreign military capabilities, diplomatic strategies, and intelligence operations that German authorities consider essential for strategic planning. The enhanced social manipulation abilities guide discussions toward topics that maximize intelligence extraction while maintaining appearance of casual social interaction. The evening's climactic moments occur during private conversations with high-value targets, whose pharmaceutical influence encourages revelation of sensitive information about foreign strategic capabilities and planning that could affect German competitive position in future conflicts. Your enhanced observational abilities enable comprehensive assessment of foreign intentions while maintaining perfect cover through sophisticated entertainment presentation. Late evening recovery occurs within secure facility, where German intelligence handlers debrief your intelligence gathering activities while managing the complex pharmaceutical transitions required to maintain your enhanced capabilities. The information obtained tonight will contribute to strategic assessments that influence German policy toward international competitors whose secrets you extracted through chemically enhanced social manipulation. Your consciousness operates as precision instrument for German strategic intelligence. Systematic pharmaceutical enhancement, creating capabilities that provide significant advantages in competition with foreign powers, whose intelligence services cannot match the level of human modification that German research has achieved through your systematic transformation. The evolution from provincial performer to strategic weapon represents ultimate success of experimental programs that view consciousness as battlefield, where chemical enhancement provides decisive advantages. The secure facility provides an environment where your enhanced capabilities can be maintained through controlled pharmaceutical administration while eliminating any contact with foreign influences that might compromise your exclusive loyalty to German strategic objectives. Your existence has become completely integrated into national intelligence apparatus that views your systematically modified awareness as strategic asset, requiring absolute protection. Your reflection in the facility's medical mirrors reveals someone whose transformation represents pinnacle of German achievement in human enhancement research, pharmaceutical modification, creating capabilities that exceed anything achieved by foreign intelligence services. The systematic destruction of your original identity has produced strategic asset whose value to German national security justifies the complete elimination of personal autonomy or international mobility. Thursday morning begins within secure facility where your pharmaceutical requirements are managed by German military personnel whose training focuses on maintaining strategic assets rather than treating patients. The experimental compounds now serve exclusively military applications that prioritize operational effectiveness over individual welfare, creating enhancement that serves national objectives regardless of personal cost. The morning preparation involves coordination with intelligence handlers, whose briefings focus on upcoming operations that will test your enhanced capabilities against foreign targets, whose elimination or recruitment could significantly improve German strategic position. Your transformation from entertainment performer to strategic weapon has reached completion through systematic pharmaceutical enhancement that serves exclusively national security objectives. Your consciousness operates within framework designed to maximize German competitive advantages through intelligence-gathering capabilities that exceed anything available to foreign services. The enhancement continues through daily pharmaceutical administration that maintains peak operational effectiveness while ensuring complete dependence on German support systems that eliminate any possibility of foreign influence or independent operation. The secure facility represents ultimate expression of German investment in human enhancement research, environment where consciousness modification serves national strategic objectives through systematic pharmaceutical administration that creates capabilities exceeding normal human limitations. Your existence has become completely absorbed into military intelligence apparatus that views enhanced awareness as weapon in competition with European powers. Your enhanced capabilities focus exclusively on German strategic requirements through operations that serve national competitive advantages rather than individual interests or international cooperation. The transformation from collaborative research subject to strategic weapon reflects German commitment to achieving decisive advantages through human enhancement that other nations cannot match or counter effectively. The pharmaceutical substances awaiting today's operations represent cutting edge of German military research into consciousness modification, molecular structures designed to maximize intelligence gathering capabilities while ensuring complete loyalty to national strategic objectives. Your systematically enhanced awareness serves as laboratory where human potential meets military necessity in service of German competitive advantages over international rivals. Your story continues as exclusively German strategic asset whose enhanced consciousness serves national objectives through operations requiring capabilities that exceed normal human limitations. The systematic pharmaceutical enhancement has created intelligence-gathering weapon that provides German authorities with significant advantages in competition with foreign powers, whose intelligence services cannot match the level of human modification achieved through your complete transformation from provincial performer to strategic resource serving national security requirements above all other considerations. Considerations. The morning light filtering through reinforced windows illuminates the final chapter of a transformation that began with desperate dreams and ended with systematic destruction disguised as strategic achievement. Your reflection shows someone who traded authentic identity for artificial enhancement, provincial innocence for pharmaceutical sophistication, human connection for intelligence capabilities that serve masters whose faces you'll never see. The white powder awaiting your attention no longer sparkles with promise, but glows with the cold efficiency of military precision. Each dose represents not personal choice, but national necessity, your consciousness operating as weapon in conflicts you don't fully understand between powers whose objectives remain concealed behind layers of classification and diplomatic immunity. Your journey from that cramped apartment above the bakery to this secure facility represents both ultimate success and complete failure of dreams that seemed so clear when you first stepped off the train at Anhalter Bahnhof. The provincial girl who fled her hometown seeking artistic freedom has become something that exists beyond normal human experience, enhanced through systematic chemical modification into strategic asset whose survival serves purposes that extend far beyond individual desires or authentic self-expression. The bread smell that once provided comfort now seems like memory from someone else's life. Simple pleasure that your chemically altered consciousness can no longer process without pharmaceutical mediation. Your transformation mirrors Berlin's own evolution from cosmopolitan playground into militarized environment where international cooperation gives way to national competition through human enhancement research that views consciousness as battlefield rather than sacred territory. Your story stands as testament to how quickly dreams of liberation can become nightmares of dependency when artificial enhancement replaces authentic growth. The spotlights that once promised transcendence have revealed themselves as interrogation lamps, illuminating systematic destruction conducted in service of strategic objectives that consume individual humanity while promising collective advancement. In Berlin's underground laboratory of human possibility, you discovered that everything is indeed possible for those willing to pay the necessary price. But that price includes everything that makes existence worth preserving in the first place.